Patrick Perret will be along shortly as we continue the countdown. Bowl season, in my opinion, really ramps up today as we get going across the landscape with several different games. And we'll get into that this morning, kind of take a look at the games that will be played today. It'll be the first day that we really, I guess, since the first Saturday of bowl season. It'll be the first day that we get really multiple bowl games. If you're off today or if you're making it a quick work day and you're done by noon, you get a whole slate of games, at least as we sit here at 6:03 on Tuesday morning. We do not have any other games canceled for today, and it'll all get going at noon with Houston and Auburn in the Birmingham Bowl. It'll be followed up at 3:15 by the Serve Pro First Responder Bowl, Air Force in Louisville at 3:15. The AutoZone Liberty Bowl, Mississippi State and Texas Tech tonight, 6:45. San Diego County Credit Union Holiday Bowl. That's a lot to say. That game is at 8 o'clock tonight and will be UCLA and North Carolina State. And then for those of you who just have not had enough, 10:15 tonight, the Guaranteed Rate Bowl, West Virginia and Minnesota. That'll be your bowl slate today. So the first day that we really get a heavy dose of fun bowl games. Look, they're entertaining to me. I think the question continues to become, what exactly are bowl games in this day and age? And you see things happening with opt-outs. You see things happening with teams now, I guess, for lack of a better term, opting out or not being able to play due to COVID restrictions. And I think bowl games, I'm 39 years old. Bowl games when I was growing up was a really big deal. There obviously was a lot less bowl games. The reward for being just 6-6, or that time 6-5, was not quite as great. There was a big hullabaloo when South Carolina turned down bowl games, I believe in 1989 and 1990, I think. And I think that seems about right, where they could have gone to, I believe, the Independence Bowl, which was played much earlier back then. And I believe South Carolina decided it would interfere with final exams in December and turned them down. Bowl games are different. There's no question about it. I think the question I have for you this morning, what do they mean? How do you take in a bowl game? Because we really get into, again, the slate of bowl games here over the next really 48 hours. There'll be other ones after this, but today and tomorrow is the heavy lifting for the bowl games here. Again, I'll give you the rundown very quickly today. Houston and Auburn, Air Force, Louisville, Mississippi State, Texas Tech, UCLA, North Carolina State, and then West Virginia, Minnesota. Tomorrow, it'll be another solid lineup. Maryland and Maryland and Virginia Tech, Clemson and Iowa State, and Oregon, Oklahoma. That'll be followed up with, again, a nice Thursday slate that features the one that we'll continue to talk about today: North Carolina versus South Carolina, Tennessee versus Purdue, Michigan State versus Pittsburgh, and Wisconsin versus Arizona State, all Thursday afternoon. So the next 3 days, really the big heavy lifting bowl games. Then we go into New Year's Eve and the college football playoff and January 1st, which, again, I bring up the history of bowl games. It used to be, if you're listening this morning, you probably understand exactly what I'm talking about. It was January 1st when you would come out of your New Year's Eve slumber, probably still have some confetti stuck to the side of your face, maybe some glitter on you somewhere, still feeling the effects of staying up way too late to watch the ball drop. But you would get yourself up, get some black-eyed peas and some collard greens and pork chops or whatever the family meat was there for the New Year's Day meal, and you would watch a whole bunch of bowl games. And now that's not really how it works. So we'll get into a little bit just the significance, because I've tried to weigh what this game means for South Carolina in 2021 and what it means for South Carolina going forward. And I know I've had that conversation. Several of you have weighed in previously on whether this has any meaning whatsoever on 2021. If there's anything you take away from this game here, this coming season or this past season, or if there's anything that you take away from, or you gain momentum from it going into 2022. So if you want to weigh in this morning on that, 803-404 for a semi-quiet night in sports. And I feel like maybe that was a good thing, kind of the quiet night before the big slate of bowl games set to come. The Miami Dolphins, a 20-3 winner over the New Orleans Saints last night. I didn't watch much of it. I'll be honest. It was not a good game, not an entertaining game to watch last night. Ian Book getting the start for New Orleans, who down quarterbacks, just 12 of 20 for 135 yards and 2 touchdowns. I didn't even make it all the way to tell you that. It was 10-3 at halftime. And that's when I realized I wasn't watching anything that was worth keeping me up for excessive hours. I'll be honest, I actually got into the movie Don't Look Up on Netflix with Leonardo DiCaprio and Jennifer Lawrence and all that. And that's a live stream conversation this morning. If you want to join us, you can do so on the Buford Lending live stream. As we do each and every morning, you can go over to the 107.5 The Game YouTube page and search for 107.5 The Game on youtube.com. Subscribe, join us. Just me right now, working from the comforts of the house, as I will be heading up to Charlotte later today. We'll be broadcasting live tomorrow from Bojangles in Charlotte. It'll actually be tomorrow and Thursday. So it will be an away game for me, heading up to Charlotte later this afternoon for the South Carolina, North Carolina Bowl festivities. And again, tomorrow morning, we will be broadcasting live from Bojangles up there. I'll give you that address here in just a little bit. But you can join us again on that Buford Lending live stream. Decor Carlton, DC up early with us this morning and all weighing in. So if you want to join us that way, you're more than welcome to. The other way to join us this morning, of course, Cool Care Heating and Air text line, 803-404-6100 is how you can do so, or on the Love Chevy phone lines. Steve-O hitting us this morning on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line, says, I like bowl season because I love college football. I watch every one that I can. I understand they've been rendered insignificant, but I enjoy them for what they are. And I think I'm with Steve-O this morning on what bowls are. Look, I had in yesterday, 11 a.m. Western Michigan and Nevada. This is it for me in college football. For you for 2021, we're in the final days of college football, and I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and say I was glued to the television. Well, I was keeping up with that Western Michigan Nevada game, but I'd turn around and I would kind of check it out and watch for a few minutes and go about my business and do what I was doing at about noon or 1 o'clock yesterday. But I would continue to kind of check it out. And I'll be thrilled with today. I'll be a little bit more entertained because I do want to see. We'll get into some of these bowl games this hour because, again, big picture, we talk about a school like South Carolina. Auburn is a school that South Carolina has now played back-to-back years, and there seems to always be some kind of recruiting tie between the two schools as they battle for prospects over in the state of Georgia. Where is the Auburn program going? Is Brian Harsin, we assume, is going to be there for year number 2 next year? I feel like you never know with coaches these days. You don't know where we're heading with any coaching carousel or what kind of wild, crazy thing could pop up out of nowhere here in the next 45 days after bowl season. But where do you put Auburn right now as they take on Houston this afternoon at noon, the Ticket Smarter Birmingham Bowl? It'll be that new stadium down on UAB's campus, I believe, in downtown Birmingham. So maybe something that you want to check out there. But, much like South Carolina, what are you trying to take away from Auburn's season as you just assess college football and you look at what certain teams did or what certain teams are? Bo Nix transferring out. Seems a little bit of upheaval. There was a lot of talk constantly about Tank Bigsby possibly transferring out, but at least as we sit here today, that's not what Tank Bigsby is going to do. Looks like he's going to stick it out for one more year for the Auburn Tigers. But that's a school that went 6-6 this year, that went 3-5 in the SEC, that lost to South Carolina in Brian Harsin's first season there on the Plains. And, in a way, this is a pretty big game for them. And because of maybe their opponent, you don't want to lose to a Houston team that is actually pretty good. Dana Holgerson, the coach there for the Houston Cougars, and a team that this season was very competitive, finished 11-2, 8-0 in their conference, lost to Cincinnati in the AAC championship game, but currently ranked number 20. You know, if you're Auburn, you feel like that one actually is kind of important. You need to kind of stabilize the program, give people some hope going into the offseason. So you understand, maybe you understand, and if not, we'll discuss it a little bit. What exactly bowl season is now, what it means now for certain teams, or what it may mean for your specific team. And in this case, obviously, we'd be talking about South Carolina and Clemson, the Tigers, again, 5:45 tomorrow against Iowa State. We'll get more into bowl season and where it's going and what it means, certainly, but we'll talk a lot about the slate this morning. Carlton on the Buford Lending live stream brings up the other news of yesterday. South Carolina and South Carolina State scheduled for tomorrow afternoon at 3 p.m. has been postponed. Keyword there, postponed, not canceled as of yet. It looks like they will try and get this game in potentially in late January, sometime maybe in February. We'll see if that's possible as both teams go into their conference portion of their schedules. But this game postponed due to COVID, I guess, protocols. No word on exactly which side it was. Obviously, South Carolina had been dealing with issues, but as far as I was told, even over the weekend, they were getting players back and seemed to be in the clear. But you know, you've heard and a lot of discussion about this, and Frank Martin kind of bringing it up. Some of the protocols that are in place right now for sports are a little outdated and are causing a lot of issues. There was several cancellations in college basketball yesterday. Clemson and Duke coming up this week was canceled. You had another Big East game canceled over last night. Auburn and Kentucky was scheduled for Thursday of this week, and college basketball was canceled. So some outdated protocols that people, I think, are trying to work out and figure out how to go about and get it resolved. And we'll see if that's able to happen. But locally, that was the other news of last night. South Carolina State and South Carolina, again, scheduled for 3 o'clock tomorrow at Colonial Life Arena, has been postponed. So that's just kind of what's going on across college sports. Again, very light day yesterday, maybe one that we all needed after a busy weekend in the NFL, which brought a lot of discussion about the Carolina Panthers and maybe the direction of that organization. You had the Chicago Bears rally in Seattle, but Matt Nagy still uncertain about his future. So you just had some small NFL stuff going on, and then across college football, we get ready for, as I was saying, the weekend that will be, or the week that will be in regards to bowl season. And my question to you to start the program here on Tuesday morning: what does bowl season? What does it mean to you? Like, are you as invested, or are you just checked out? Are you just done with college? Or are you college football out? Have you just had enough? Jess weighs in. Morning. Love to watch any kind of football game. I really don't care who's playing. For me, it's the love of the game, and I love bowl season. Bring the Gamecocks home a victory. Thank you, sir. Jess. Yeah, and I'm kind of with Steve-O and Jess, who've already weighed in this morning. I'm just a fan of bowl season. I continue to be the guy that enjoys even the pre-Christmas bowl games, because you go to a little Christmas party, the leading up there to Christmas Eve. Maybe you're there with your friends or with your family or whatever. Easiest thing in the world that brings us all together. Throw a bowl game. Doesn't matter if it's the Gasparilla Bowl with Florida and Central Florida, or if it's the Millet I'm trying to think of I think it was whatever the Missouri Army bowl game was. It was a military style type bowl game, but I can't remember the official name of it. But yeah, throwing a bowl game brings everybody together, gives us some football to watch, to discuss, to hoop and holler about, to choose sides. And I still enjoy those kind of events. As the Lockheed Martin Armed Forces Bowl was what I was looking for. Army and Missouri coming up, or was last week. So again, today, busy slate of bowl games. We'll break into these a little bit more today. Get you ready for the first major bowl day of the year. December 28th is where we're at. Houston and Auburn today, Air Force, Louisville, Mississippi State, Texas Tech, UCLA, NC State, and West Virginia, Minnesota. tomorrow. Clemson and Iowa State, and now just 2 days away, almost 48 hours away, North Carolina and South Carolina. We'll certainly get into the Gamecocks and the Tar Heels, continue to talk about that. South Carolina hitting Charlotte Motor Speedway yesterday, and you can see the reactions on their faces as they drove NASCAR or drove cars around the track, and you could just sense Jen Jensen loving every bit of it during her vacation. So if you want to weigh in this morning, 803-404-6100. That's how you can join us. You can join us on the Buford Lending live stream. Our good buddy Jim in Carolina Beach, always sending the very nice sun rising, the rising sun pictures out over the Atlantic Ocean. Says he's a fan of college football and he'll try to watch every bowl game. Again, so far, Steve, Jess, Jim in Carolina Beach, we're all kindred spirits. We're just fans of the bowl season, and that's where we stand. Patrick Perret set to join us here in a few minutes. I'm Bill Gunter. He'll be Patrick Perret. Captain Dave Adair is back behind the glass this morning in the studio. He will answer the phone calls if you want to weigh in, 803-404-6100. That's how you can join us. It's the Tuesday morning edition of the early game, or 105 the game.
Morning.
Morning. Morning, everybody. Morning, Trey, Craig, Chuck, Anthony. Welcome in, Jim. Yep, Carlton, you heard right. Waddy, we have not. Did not even want to think about it when I saw the text yesterday. Or the tweet.
Poochies, yeah. I don't know what that is. I had to get a new router since the last time I've done a show from here, and now it can't reach as far, so I can't sit at my desk.
Well, that's no fun. So where are you sitting at?
On my bed, trying to sit up with this, chair.
Oh, the husband pillow. Good morning, yeah. Donnie. There we go. Dave is sitting me everything.
See if I can get Dave. Hey, Dave. Hey, Dave.
What number are you on?
I'm on 3.
You hear him? Hey. Yeah, I'm looking at. I text you back. I don't quite understand the liner. You have won a pair of tickets to the 2021. Does that make sense?
You can win.
So I guess are we just giving a pair of tickets away? And I'll just say I'll do it to start like, huh? Yeah. All right, so I'll do one in the 7 o'clock hour. Let me know when you think you're ready to handle the phone call or whatever. And okay, and just two lives. Is that what I see? Zero Res and QC Kinetics. Okay. Well, then I probably should have more. Do you know what you're looking for? Sleep number. Sleep number. Yetsy. Okay. All right, Patrick should be on 3. Patrick's on 3.
Yep.
Okay, got it. Oh, there is bumper music we don't typically hear from Jen Jensen. It's the Captain Dave Adair on the 1s and 2s this morning. Patrick Perret joining along. Bill Gunter. You're listening to the early game, 107.5 PM 623 on your Tuesday morning. Want to remind you tomorrow morning I will be out and about. That's right. The Queen City gets the full Gunter effect. You can swing by if you're heading up to Charlotte, really at any time. We will be at 1402 West Trade Street in Charlotte, North Carolina from 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. That is a Bojangles, which means you can come by. You can go ahead and get some, when I'm there, you can get some nice breakfast, get a sausage biscuit, some Bowberry biscuits, maybe a Cajun filet biscuit. When everybody else is there, you can stop by and get some fried chicken. Go ahead and start planning your tailgate for Thursday afternoon. Stop by on that Bojangles again in Charlotte. Charlotte. Make sure you listen to this.
Thursday afternoon, by the way.
Huh?
It's not going to be Thursday afternoon, by the way.
That's true. Well, that's
you tailgating bright and early in the morning.
You can have a little fried chicken, or you can go with just a whole box of sausage biscuits or Cajun filet biscuits, maybe a bacon, egg, and cheese. That's a good point. It's an early game, 11:30 on Thursday. But go ahead and start planning your tailgate. Again, stop by tomorrow morning and Thursday morning. Heath and I will be there Thursday morning doing the pregame show. Again, that is 1402 West Trade Street in Charlotte, North Carolina for the Dukes Mayo Bowl that will be up there for. You can come out and cheer on the Gamecocks as they take on North Carolina. Matter of fact, coming up this morning, roughly about 7:15 and 8:15 this morning, we will give away 2 pairs of tickets, one at 7:15 and one at 8:15. We'll give away 2 pairs of tickets to the Dukes Mayo Bowl. So if you're listening, we'll pick a caller. Captain David Air will bless you with 2 pairs of tickets, one at about 7:15 this morning, one at 8:15. If you are still contemplating going, you can win some tickets right here on 107.5 The Game. Patrick Perret joining me, and Patrick just kind of opening the program here. Big day, the day that I'm actually – to me, it's enjoyable. Really, quite honestly, you put on any interesting sporting event during the middle of the day for me, during a work week. I don't know. I don't know if the rest of people feel like this, but if you have something that's just kind of entertaining, Olympics, which I wouldn't get. I don't even get into the Olympics on the weekend, but Olympics, the World Cup soccer event, you put it on in the middle of the day during a week. I feel like it's so new and different that I'm totally invested. And when I get a slate of bowl games like today in college football, sport that I really actually do love and care for, I get a little fired up. I got to admit, I know that you had a busy night, that you're going to probably want to take a nap today, but Houston and Auburn coming up at noon today in the Birmingham Bowl. And just where do you stand with bowl games? Where did you stand with bowl games growing up? Where do you stand with bowl games as we sit here in 2021?
I definitely loved bowl season growing up because it was winter break and there's nothing to do inside. You might maybe go outside, shovel the driveway, play in the snow for a couple hours, and then go back inside and watch football all day. And then same thing in college where it was break and I'm home for a couple weeks and nothing to do but watch football. So I loved that. It's really been pretty much a straight downhill slope in terms of my interest in bowl games because the opt-outs won, because I like watching college football just in general, but in bowl season I like to watch, because I'm a draft guy first and foremost, I like to watch the draftable players. I like to watch the NFL talent, and now 90% of the NFL talent, or at least day 1, day 2, top 50 kind of talent, is not going to be playing in the bowl games, and basically the games are just devalued. There's no crowd, the players don't care, which bleeds over to the fans, which makes them not care. And obviously there's still a lot of purity in it. Like the guys that aren't going to go pro care a lot. It's their last chance to play a game. And there's a lot of emotions with guys playing their last games or seniors playing their last games. So there's some interest, but in terms of if I just scroll down and look at a random bowl like the Jimmy Kimmel Bowl, I would have had no interest in anymore. Like that game is something that I probably used to care about, and now I can't find the effort to care anymore about games like that.
So this is kind of interesting. I'm using sportsreference.com. Sportsreference.com is where I'm drawing my information here. 30 years ago, is this right? Yeah, 1991, Patrick. In 1991, which fortunately for me is prior to your birth, there were 18 bowl games. 18 bowl games in 1991. This is the 1991-92 bowl season that, let's see, it featured the Orange Bowl, Miami and Nebraska. Miami, I think, was the national champion that year. Miami beat Nebraska in the Orange Bowl 22-0. The Rose Bowl was number 2 Washington versus number 4 Michigan. Washington won 34-14, but there were 18 bowl games that year. The earliest was the California Bowl. It was Bowling Green State versus Fresno State. But then you had the Aloha Bowl, so you still had your Hawaii Bowl, Georgia Tech and Stanford. You had back then actually a really fun bowl that I kind of remember, the Blockbuster Bowl, which I think would later become the CarQuest Bowl that South Carolina would go and play in. That was played down in Miami, Florida. You had the Liberty Bowl, which we still have today, the Independence, the Gator, the Holiday. You had the Freedom Bowl, the Sun Bowl, the Copper Bowl. I think there's still a Copper Bowl. I'd have to go and look and see what the Copper Bowl's name is. Does anybody know what it was played in Tucson, Arizona? Does anybody know I believe that might have been the bowl that was canceled yesterday.
Is that the Sun Bowl now? Yeah. Tony Tucker.
No, Sun Bowl is the same in El Paso. I believe the Copper Bowl was the one that was canceled yesterday.
The Arizona Bowl.
Okay.
It's in Tucson now. That's the one that got canceled yesterday. The Barstool Sports Arizona Bowl.
Oh, so all the anger and fuss over the Barstool Sports game, it ends up getting canceled. But yeah, you had the Sugar, the Rose, the Peach. The Peach in 1991 featured 12th ranked East Carolina over 21st ranked North Carolina State. Again, the Orange Bowl, the Hall of Fame Bowl, the Fiesta Bowl, the Cotton Bowl, and the Citrus Bowl. Clemson fans, you may remember the Citrus Bowl. California, a 37-13 winner on January 1st. That year there was 8 games, Patrick, played on December 1st. Now, fast forward 10 years later, 2001. 2001, I believe this was the year that I was down in Tampa. South Carolina would take on Ohio State. Actually, that was the year prior. This was the 31-28 year. South Carolina kicks a field goal at the end. So in 1991, there were 18 bowl games. In 2001, Patrick, we had grown to 25 bowl games, 7 extra bowl games added. And now we sit here today at the originally scheduled lineup was 42 bowl games. I believe they added a 43rd. That doesn't count. That's I'm not referencing what has already been canceled and how many will actually be played. But 42 bowl games. So just think about that. In 30 years, we've gone from 18 bowl games to this year, 42 bowl games, which again, I think it brings up the question. I still love bowl games. I love watching them. I'm gonna have the television on ESPN all day long. I'll probably head up to Charlotte around 4:30 or 5 and try and get up there and get a good dinner tonight and sit down and watch a bowl game. But they're entertaining. But is the relevance for winning a bowl game and the significance the same as it was just say 20 years ago in 2001?
I guess it depends on the school, because I mean, the college football playoff also has a role in this, where as we get closer to New Year's and the bigger games, there's teams that are championship or bust. Like Ohio State is not going to care at all about winning their bowl game because they're not in the college football playoff. And like LSU will never be happy to be playing in the Texas Bowl against Kansas State, because those teams are not content without championships every year. And before the college football playoff and there was only 2 teams, you could at least kind of find some relevance in being the next one up, and you can kind of claim that you got robbed and things like that. But now, if you don't go to the college football playoff, there's probably about a dozen teams that are going to be disappointed in their season no matter what. But there is still, I mean, when you go further down the list, like who played in the Bahamas Bowl this year? Was that Middle Tennessee and Toledo? Like, I'm sure that means something for the Middle Tennessee team, which that's kind of the pure part of bowl season that people love, and that is college football kind of at its best. But in large part, it's definitely devalued.
But I guess there's 2 sides to it. What does it mean for your team? What does it mean for your team to win a bowl game? And then, like you said, what exactly is it doing? The core on our Buford Lending live stream says he believes there are too many bowl games and it's all about money. But I love college football and still love to watch them. And I'm totally on the side of it. Craig with a great memory on the Buford Lending live stream. Our son was born 30 minutes after we kicked the game-winning field goal to beat Ohio State, and it was snowing. That is quite a day, Craig. So, yeah, and then Waddy says it does seem like some of these bowl games can be played on a soundstage in Bristol. Yeah, the bowl season, again, it's interesting to look at it because I think our buddy Jim Corley weighs in, and again, he said he loves bowl season. I know Jim's a little bit older than us. There's a lot of people who will say the same thing, and bowl season has changed dramatically in 30 years, Patrick. Jim says growing up, January 1st was like a second Christmas. I'd have 2 TVs ready to not miss anything. I'd record them all and watch at a later date. January 1st was an entirely different bowl date. It's interesting exactly how this is now played out. And Patrick, you saw something yesterday, and you and I think have kind of talked about this a little bit. I don't know what it does to the Rose Bowl's ego to have Ohio State players, multiple Ohio State players yesterday, elect to opt out of the Rose Bowl. And there's your first sign, because we haven't seen any opt out of a college football playoff. I'd be shocked. I guess at some point somebody's going to break the mold and do it. But I'd be shocked if we ever see that. But the Rose Bowl is maybe the next most prestigious bowl not named a college football playoff game this year. And I don't know if they've ever had players opt out of the Rose Bowl, but now you have, I think, multiple Ohio State players, both wide receivers, Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson yesterday, electing to opt out. And that's, to me, a blow to what the Rose Bowl will be.
Yeah, but would I'm just trying to think, would a Penn State player have opted out of the bowl game? Like, because that game would probably mean more to Penn State than it does to Ohio State, because Ohio State's disappointed. They thought, and we thought before the Michigan game, that Ohio State was, we were talking about it, they might be the second best team in the country. And they just got crushed, and now they're completely deflated and no one really cares anymore. And, I mean, Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave have played in at least one college football playoff. They played in a national championship last year. So, I mean, they don't care about the Rose Bowl, but the Rose Bowl still does have significance to a lot of teams. I mean, I'm sure there will be no opt-outs from the Utah side of things, but it's just, yeah, I think at that level, guys just don't really care. And the college football playoff is going to be the one game where you're just not going to see any opt-outs.
803-404-6100. Richard weighs in on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line. He says, I agree, Patrick. They have too many bowls and crowds are small, too many kids opting out. They need to take the names of sponsors off of games just to go back to sugar, cotton, orange, and rose. Make it a privilege again to go to a bowl. We'll continue talking about this. Just the significance. It's an interesting conversation because I think you get so many different sides of it. Again, as I give you the statistics, 30 years ago, there were 18 bowl games. 20 years ago, it was 25 bowl games. I'll pull up how many there was just 10 years ago here in just a second and get you that as well. But we roll along here as we count down to a fun slate. Now, look, I'm not even going to sit here and try and argue about the fact that today should be a fun slate of bowl games. I'm interested. Hopefully we'll get a few really good games here, especially starting in about 5.5 hours, Auburn and Houston in the Birmingham Bowl, a place where South Carolina fans have fond memories. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. All right. I tell you what, go ahead. I'll do zero res in the next segment. I don't have their thing pulled up right in front of me. Okay. So just go ahead and go straight to break, and I'll do zero res next break.
So I guess we're just doing 3 breaks every hour.
Yeah. Make it entertaining. All right. I'm going to switch from the orange juice to the coffee. Okay, so Central Michigan will play in the Sun Bowl. So we managed to keep the Sun Bowl. I think I saw that yesterday.
It is a bummer the Arizona Bowl got canceled. Seems like they had some cool plans for that. What'd you say, Dave? Is he doing a show today? Yikes. Yeah, naturally.
Patrick, I watched. Have you heard the movie on Netflix? I know you probably haven't seen it. Don't Look Up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched that last night.
Good? It's not being well reviewed.
Yeah, it's weird. It's a weird movie. I mean, obviously it's a satire on our current political environment.
Yeah.
It was not my kind of movie. I thought it was going to be more of a comedy.
Well, yeah, it's Adam. You know who made it?
Adam McKay? Is that?
I mean, you know who he is?
No.
He's like Will Ferrell's partner. He made like Anchorman, Talladega Nights, Step Brothers, stuff like that. Made The Big Short, but he's in the headlines because he's saying that he doesn't want to make comedies anymore, and he wants to make things that are more, I don't know, I guess, important, he thinks.
Well, it was, yeah, I mean.
Yeah, I don't think people liked it very much. Which, that would be basically the first bad movie Leo's ever made.
Yeah, I mean,
I will probably watch it just because of him, because he's probably got the highest batting average of any actor going right now. Like, everything he makes is a hit. But
803-404-6100. That's how you can join us this morning. Cool Care Heating and Air text line. Or, of course, you can always hop on the Buford Lending live stream, talking a little movies off air there. DC weighing in. Says Carolina has a lot more bad memories at bowl games than good. I expect the same Thursday. We don't match up well with North Carolina. Patrick, again, some news yesterday out of South Carolina's practice. We don't have answers on this. Shane Beamer will meet with the media. I think it's today. I don't know if it's today or tomorrow. I got to go back and look at my emails now. They've been changing the media availability up on the South Carolina media contingent a little bit day in, day out. So I'll kind of get confirmation on this very quickly. But no media availability today. No media availability after practice. Tomorrow, Shane Beamer will speak. But the news yesterday, Patrick, out of South Carolina's practice was that Justin Stepp and Torian Gray are not out there practicing, that they are apparently back in Columbia. The belief, this has not been reported officially, but I believe both websites, bigspur.com, gamecockcentral.com, kind of alluding to some potential issues with coaches being in COVID protocol. Neither website, and this should be bolded, underlined, italicized, neither coach right now has left the program. This has nothing to do with coaches taking other jobs anywhere else. It has to do potentially with some kind of COVID protocol or some issues, but neither were spotted out there yesterday. And, you know, Patrick, when this game was announced, and Chuck, yes, I agree. Chuck on the Buford Lending stream says that's a bunch to do about nothing. I agree, but it is worth noting because of what DC just said. Patrick, when this game was announced, I thought great opportunity for South Carolina. Great opportunity to go up and beat a rival in North Carolina, to go up and win a game against a team you recruit against. We talked about South Carolina landed 9 players from different states in this recruiting class. 9 different states. I don't think people realize how hard that is, but none from the state of North Carolina. And now you're down your, I guess, starting quarterback, Jason Brown. You're down Zaquandre White. You're down one of your better defensive players in J.J. Ngbare. And we don't know the status of 2 coaches that are pretty important to your game day preparations in Justin Stepp and Torian Gray.
Well, I mean, how big of a loss is that on game day itself? Because you could argue, and I'm not even sure if it'd be much of an argument, they are your 2 best position coaches. I mean, you would say that Torian Gray, what he made out of all new faces in the secondary, and how big of a year Jalen Foster had, and then obviously what Justin Stepp has done with Josh Vann after 3 years of basically doing nothing and then coming out and having a monster year. Developmentally, what they've done for those guys is the most important thing, but what really is their responsibility on game day? And is it really going to hamper South Carolina's ability? Is it more just about them not being in practice this week to get everything tightened up? Or come Thursday at noon or 11:30, is that going to be a noticeable missing piece?
I mean, we'll find out. I think I feel like with Torian Gray, because Sam Howell in North Carolina can burn South Carolina through the air. I think that's something that maybe you pay more attention to. Now, again, Shane Beamer did not speak yesterday. There will be no media availability today for South Carolina, so we will most likely not get an answer on what exactly is going on just yet, but maybe we'll get it Wednesday. And then at that point, maybe any other issues. We also know that at least 2 players are suspended. Yesterday, both websites reporting they did not see Jordan Strawn or O'Donnell Fortune out there with the teams. It is believed that those are the 2 players that are suspended for the bowl game. Jordan Strawn's another one, Patrick. I got to admit, J.J. Ngbare goes out. I kind of was interested to see him in this game get increased snaps. You and a guy talked about Jordan Birch being a guy. Strawn was a guy, obviously came in as a pass rusher, had led the nation in sacks in 2020, was expected to do some solid things and had some nice moments this year. I would have liked to have seen what he can do. Who knows? He was not out there at practice yesterday, according to both thebigspur.com and Gamecock Central. Again, no exact word if he is one of the players suspended. So
I mean, Beamer said no starters, but with Enigbari out and maybe even without, he'd be considered a starter.
Well, I would consider when Beamer said that no starters per the first 12 games, not whomever they were considering lining up potentially. Not lining up potentially as starters this game. We'll see. I just as we talk about opt-outs in the bowl games, anonymous texter brings up an interesting point. Or let me see, who is this? No, it's Newberry Chris. I apologize. Patrick, do you think this is true? Rose Bowl committee will remember Ohio State opting out, opt-outs in the future. I don't think that really matters though, because the Rose Bowl doesn't select Ohio State. It's the winner. It's the winner of the Big Ten, and if the winner of the Big Ten goes, that the Rose Bowl may not really have a say in that matter.
No, why would that matter at all? They don't get a choice. Those games are slotted in already, and you're gonna want Ohio State there because Ohio State's a draw, and because Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave aren't going to be there, who's going to fill in for them? Marvin Harrison Jr. and Julian Fleming, who was the #1 wide receiver recruit in the country. I mean, people are going to want to watch those guys play still. So no, I don't think it's going to have any effect.
Should also be noted, just for the record, Ohio State returned 7,000 tickets to the Rose Bowl as well. That fan base not particularly excited to be heading out to Pasadena. They had higher expectations, obviously, going into the Michigan game and did not work out. So there will be a sea of red. The problem is it'll be Utah red that'll be out there. 803-404-6100. We'll get back into that South Carolina discussion in hour number 2 because, Patrick, again, I think when this bowl game was announced, some people kind of cringed. You and I weren't crazy about the bowl game because we just wanted to see a different opponent. I was kind of in favor of South Carolina going elsewhere. I think if I'd have had my personal kind of opinion, this had absolutely nothing to do with me being able to travel and go to the game. I think my personal opinion, Patrick, was to see South Carolina go to the Liberty Bowl where they would have played Texas Tech. That would have actually been today because Mississippi State, Texas Tech. I would have liked to see him in Memphis playing Texas Tech. Maybe not the sexiest, most attractive opponent, Patrick, but we'll talk about that. We'll talk about this bowl game, what we thought about it at the beginning of December, where we sit with it here on December 28th. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game. Which email? Or did they just send one? Okay. Oh yeah. So the players will be please do not make this. Just Zoom call. So instead of that's what it'll be. It'll just be availability will be virtual. Gotcha. All right, we'll just move zero res to next hour, and I'll do zero res and I'll do zero res at 7:15, and I'll do QC Kinetics at 7:30. All right. Yeah, Chuck, I did agree with you though. I think the Step Gray news was a bunch of nothing, but I think you just kind of continue to figure out what exactly South Carolina has going into this bowl game.
No, I haven't completely seen the new Matrix. I started it. I will finish it either maybe tomorrow. I don't know. Maybe as soon as this show ends, I'll turn it on, watch a little bit more. But I basically only watched the first scene.
All right. Hey, count it down in my ear. Or at least give me like a 15 so I can get out. We'll get more into South Carolina's bowl prospects, just where they kind of stand in the next hour and kind of continue to break down that game. But again, today's schedule gets going here in just a little while. Houston and Auburn at noon today. Air Force and Louisville, the Serve Pro First Responder Bowl at 3:15. Mississippi State and Texas Tech 6:45. UCLA, North Carolina State 8 p.m. tonight. Patrick, the Holiday Bowl, that's being played in Petco Park. That actually, I saw the field for that actually looks pretty interesting. So I'll more so because of the field, I'll probably be tuning in to watch that. And then West Virginia,
That's
Minnesota.
part of it.
Yeah.
That's part of the allure for bowl games.
Is that your most interesting game today?
Maybe. Yeah, I would say so because those are kind of not name brand teams, but Minnesota's had a good last couple of years, and I've grown up just locally seeing a lot of West Virginia. I'm pretty familiar with that program. So, yeah, I'm a little intrigued by that.
So that's the Guaranteed Rate Bowl late tonight, 10:15. Coming up next hour, we will give you a chance to win a pair of tickets to the Dukes Mayo Bowl, and we'll continue talking about South Carolina and North Carolina. You're listening to The Early Game on 107.5 The Game. What'd you say? Yeah. Well, normally we in the first hour we combine one of the breaks, and we only do. And I might get you to do that tomorrow. We just do 2 breaks in the 6 o'clock hour. And a matter of fact, if you want, since we don't have any lives, we could combine one of the breaks, and we just do like an 8:20 and an 8:40. And just do 2 breaks in the 8 o'clock hour if you want to try and do that. That's right. We run our own program here.
We're renegades.
Oh, yeah. All right. Step away here for a minute. Let me know if I missed anything else.
We got to get Dave on the live stream or something. It's hard to focus on the live stream and then know when he's talking in our ear.
Patrick, we may have to play the game of what has been the best bowl game name over the last 30 years.
You say bowl game name?
Yeah, because I just pulled up the 2011 bowl game. I was looking to see if it told me how many. So there were 35 bowl games. A total of 35 competitive bowls. So it was 18, 25, 35. So, like, we've got the Beef O'Brady's Bowl, Patrick. The Beef O'Brady's Bowl. The Meineke Car Care Bowl of Texas. the BBVA Compass Bowl, and the GoDaddy.com Bowl. That was 2011. You had a Humanitarian Bowl. This is 2011, Humanitarian Bowl, the Silicon Valley Bowl, the Gallery Furniture Bowl. And of course, 91, you didn't have any of that. The growth of the bowl game era.
I mean, how much does it cost to sponsor a bowl game?
It's a good question.
I don't understand how some of these companies have enough money to do that.
Oh, let me go. Oh, we back on hockey now? Did hockey start again tonight?
No, but we're coming back at the top of the hour. We're on.
Tuesday morning, December 28th, 7 a.m. If you're like us, you are starting to tailgate. Patrick, is it a tailgating day? Because I feel like if there's 5 games today. There's 5 bowl games today from noon until a little after midnight tonight. If this was a college football Saturday during the regular season, I'm not saying we'd be going crazy about it, but if this was say week 0, if this lineup of games was week 0, people would be tailgating right now, right? They'd be taking the whole day off. People would be fired. Hey, college football's here, and man, this is awesome. Look at this, games all day, starting at noon. The last game starts at 10:15. That'll carry us into midnight. People would be like really, really fired up about this. If it was, say, August, I think it was August 28th this year, I think was that Saturday that we got, was it Nebraska? And yeah, it was August 28th. We got Nebraska and Illinois. And I was geared up for Nebraska and Illinois. I think we also got UCLA and maybe a Fresno State. Does that seem right? Maybe a Hawaii. UCLA played somebody, put up a bunch of points on them early on. We all thought Chip Kelly and UCLA was back. But if that was today's slate, because again, today, 5 bowl games: Houston and Auburn, Air Force and Louisville, Mississippi State, Texas Tech today, UCLA, North Carolina State, and West Virginia, Minnesota. If that was your lineup for like the opening weekend of college football, I just realized the 28th significance. If this was August 28th, which was the Saturday this year that we got week 0 instead of today, people would be pretty excited about that lineup of games where you have college football just all day, correct?
Yeah, for sure. Because, I mean, if you just go through every matchup, there's going to be things that are going to get you excited, because Auburn will get anyone in the SEC excited, and Houston's been a really good as good as any Group of 5 team in the last 5-10 years. And then you just look at some of the coaches that are going to be coaching today, and you got Chip Kelly, Mike Leach, and PJ Fleck. A lot of personality, a lot of interest there. You can even make the case that Louisville will be a really exciting game because anytime a service academy is playing, that's kind of intriguing because it's a different way of having to defend. And then Malik Cunningham is electrifying. So, I mean, yeah, you can easily talk yourself into this being a great game, great day of games. But when it's week 0 and Auburn has everything to play for and stuff like that versus the end of the season where Auburn fans are completely checked out, their quarterback is transferring, they're 6-6 and pretty much at rock bottom on the year, takes away some of the intrigue.
Let's talk about Auburn for a second. I opened up the program kind of talking about them as one of the bigger teams today that is playing. I tie this in a little bit with South Carolina because of significance. First-year head coach, you're sitting on 500. There have been opt-outs there. You mentioned it. Bo Nix obviously wouldn't be playing regardless because of the ankle injury. Go ahead.
Who opted out? Did Roger McCreary opt out?
No, I meant bowl games opt-outs in general. But yeah, and I guess I meant Bo Nix also. But yeah, the bottom line is you've had some changes there for Auburn. But at the end of the day, you play Houston. Houston's a ranked team. Houston is number 20. They're coming off of a game in the AAC championship. Cincinnati blew them out in the second half. But Patrick, I mean, if you kind of look at the similarities between Auburn right now and South Carolina, and I don't mean as a overall program for the past 100 years, I'm just kind of comparing it with first-year head coaches with kind of the way the seasons went. There was a time where Auburn's season, I think, was very positive. I don't think there was a time. There was a point in the season where the Auburn was, we were talking about them as a dark horse contender for the SEC West and maybe giving Alabama that Iron Bowl being for the SEC West. And then Auburn goes on the 4-game losing streak to end the season, the incredible comeback by Mississippi State, the loss to South Carolina, obviously, and then the brutal loss to Alabama as well there for the Tigers. But Patrick, we'll tie this in with South Carolina here. Auburn today, how important is that game for them? Like, because I feel like if we say, well, that's pretty important, you look at South Carolina on Thursday and you kind of say the same thing.
I guess this is what's weird about bowl season now. If you're a fan of Auburn or if you're a fan of South Carolina or whatever team really, you can almost talk yourself into either way it being important or not important. Like, obviously, if South Carolina loses a game 28-0 like Virginia a couple years ago, you're not going to talk yourself into really, that's no big deal. We laid an egg. It is what it is. Bowl games don't matter. But, I mean, for Auburn, if Auburn loses to Houston, it's not going to be – I guess you could argue that's going to be disastrous because Auburn, we don't lose to Group of 5 teams. But you can also talk yourself into, look, the season went completely downhill. We were checked out. We're already moving on to 2022. We don't care about this. Bo Nix wasn't there anyway. We had to get a new quarterback ready. TJ Finley's been banged up for weeks. There's just a lot going on, and we're fully focused on next year. The bowl practices themselves were more important than actually the result of the game anyway, so we don't care. But if you're a team, I mean, same with South Carolina. South Carolina can lose this game and say, well, North Carolina was the better team anyway. They're top 10. They've got an NFL quarterback. Our best 3 players opted out or quarterback transferred because we have Spencer Rattler waiting in the wings. So it's not even about the bowl game. It's about next year. And then you can also spin it. Whereas, like you said, North Carolina, huge state for recruiting battles. It would be great to get a leg up on North Carolina. So I don't know. It's just gotten to be a weirder time where not everybody cares, and we want to make every game super meaningful and have it be able to extrapolate that into something. But at the end of the day, I mean, you can really talk yourself into whatever you want.
So with that in mind, I think the question becomes, what do we make of the South Carolina-North Carolina game? And I asked this going back to the previous hour, probably on, I think, what was it, Patrick? I guess December 5th or December 6th, somewhere in that area. I believe it was December 5th when we learned it would be South Carolina and North Carolina in the Dukes Mayo Bowl. I kind of looked at it at that point. Zaquandre White was still in the game. Jason Brown was going to be the expected starter, or I thought would be the starter. I did at that moment expect JJ Enigbare to opt out, but you looked at it and I thought, man, great opportunity for South Carolina. This is a North Carolina team that is not the same North Carolina team they were really in 2020 or in 2019 for that matter when they beat South Carolina. I think that this team has struggled this year. They're 6-6 for a reason. They do have some ugly losses on the schedule this year. They have kind of bounced back late in the year, but the bottom line, this North Carolina team is not the juggernaut that we expected. Sam Howell is a brand name player, and Patrick, I think everybody fully expects him. He's not made an official decision just yet, but everybody fully expects him to go to the NFL. You've mentioned it. He is playing for kind of some draft stock in terms of this game, a big reason why he's probably not opted out. But at the same time, this North Carolina team isn't exactly the juggernaut top 10 team that we saw going into the Virginia Tech game. They lost to Florida State, who was an average team this year. They lost badly to Georgia Tech, 45-22. Georgia Tech was not very good this year. So this is not a North Carolina team that by any stretch of the imagination is a great team that's going to go out and blow South Carolina out of the water. I think the concern for South Carolina fans is the offense. Can South Carolina generate any sort of offense whatsoever to keep pace with North Carolina? And I think a lot of people, Richard on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line, saying it's a bad matchup. I think that's where he's going when you talk about South Carolina's offense right now and what can they do in this bowl game.
Yeah, but then that goes to the point of what does the game really mean? Like if South Carolina's offense can't keep up with Sam Howell, first of all, no one would be surprised. And second of all, is that going to deflate South Carolina fans heading into 2022? Like, there's no way it's going to. I mean, you can point to if Zeb just plays a normal Zeb Nolan game and South Carolina scores 20 points and doesn't put up a ton of yards, but they run the ball somewhat effectively and you lose the game, I don't know, 31-20. South Carolina fans aren't going to go into next year saying, man, we can't even beat this North Carolina team. This is a problem. The offense is a huge issue. You're going to have Spencer Rattler on the team next year. You're going to have Austin Stogner on the team. You're going to have a big-time tight end. Josh Van's coming back. All of the discussion or all of the excitement is going to be about next year and having a big-time quarterback. So that's where I want to say that it's a really important game, and maybe it's just important if you can win this game, but not that important if you lose. It's just there's no way that South Carolina fans are going to come out of this like they did the Virginia game and say this is a big, big problem going forward. I mean, unless you get unless you get shut out and just completely dismantled, but I don't really see that happening either.
I feel like it's a homer thing to say. I feel like it's a cop-out thing to say, but it's honestly what you were just saying. I feel like what you just said is the truth, that South Carolina's kind of playing with house money here this week. That everything that's kind of gone on, the way this team kind of got to a bowl game, it hasn't been the most eye-appealing season out there. I mean, look, this is nobody would call this a pretty football season, right, Patrick? Nobody's labeling this a very. There's the big wins. I should say big wins. There's brand name wins over Florida and Auburn. And look, for South Carolina's football program, let's be honest, those are, I don't care what Florida and Auburn are. South Carolina is not a football program that can just put down victories over brand name schools like Florida and Auburn. You celebrate those every time you get them. But I don't know. Is there a play? Is there a play this year? Is it Zeb Nolan saving the day against Vanderbilt with a touchdown pass to Leggett there in the final minute? What's the play of the year right now?
Gosh, I don't even know it. Maybe not even the most impressive play, because I think the most impressive play was that one-handed catch from Jalen Brooks, but that's not going to be the marquee play of the year. I almost am going to look back and think of the Josh Van running wide open in the back of the end zone against Florida, because that was just a blowout game that changed everything, because you were a 20-point dog and end up winning by 20 points. So that changed a lot of the momentum, because before that we were looking and running through the wins, and it was like, okay, well, you had to come back on a miraculous last-second drive against Vanderbilt. You almost lost to Vanderbilt, and you beat an East Carolina team and you led for literally none of the game. You had to win that on a last-second field goal, and you trailed for the majority of the game. So there were some really, like you said, not appealing to watch wins. And then finally you end the season with a couple big-time wins, and the Auburn game was a ton of fun. The Florida game was a ton of fun and kind of changed the whole narrative on the season. So when you say playing with house money, that's kind of how I feel, because when we discussed what would be successful for this team in the preseason, it was basically we said a bowl game, and Shane Beamer himself said playing your best football at the end of the year. And Clemson game aside, that's clearly what South Carolina was doing. So I don't want to just make it seem like I'm preparing myself for disappointment by saying you have everything to gain and nothing to lose, but that is basically how I feel about this game. And when you're not the better team or you're not expected to win, that's kind of built into it as well. And South Carolina, player for player, is probably not the better team. They didn't have the better season. They were not expected to have as good of a season, but we ended up in the same place. So, yeah, North Carolina is not the juggernaut that we thought they were, because they wouldn't be in this game. But it still is going to mean something if you beat this team, because anytime you beat a preseason top 10 team, just like anytime you beat Florida or you beat Auburn because of the name brand, it just feels a little bit different.
And again, I think that's where we look at this particular bowl game. I think why Patrick agrees with me there on playing with house money. Anonymous texter says maybe the play of the year is Zeb Nolan's play against Vanderbilt. He doesn't make that play, we don't win the ball game. We're not bowl eligible. And that's a very good point. Maybe we'll get into that a little bit on the play.
That's an interesting question, though. What's the play of the year? Because I don't know what else truly sticks out. I mean, Saquandre White had a couple monster plays in the Auburn game that completely changed it. Just him like hiding and then bouncing out for the little dump off that he took 60 or 80 yards or whatever it was. That was a monster play. But outside of that, I don't know what's truly really memorable.
All right, well, we'll put it out there. 803-404-6100. 803-404-6100. That is the Cool Care Heating and Air text line, the Love Chevy phone lines. If you want to weigh in, what was the South Carolina regular season play of the year? I mean, you've got, look, Devontae Staley's interception return.
Yeah.
That one was really big, changed the momentum of that one. Yes, Craig weighs in on the Buford Lending live stream. He's going to go the negative path and say the Jordan Birch pass sticks out to him. But, yeah, I mean, let's try and be positive this morning, Craig. Try and be positive. So many good contributions. What was the South Carolina play of the year? Patrick, you mentioned it, several good ones there to choose from, even though maybe they didn't result in touchdowns by Gamecocks, but certainly plays that were made in the Auburn game. I think you've got the two in the Florida game by Jason Brown. The other one where he scrambles, back to his right, throws down the field to Josh Van, I guess. And then you mentioned the touchdown pass to Van, where they did the video and Van took a nap, I guess, before the ball got there. But
the Trey Jones touchdown, fat guy touchdowns are always memorable. And I mean, if we're going to talk about this Auburn game years from now, we're always going to remember Mike Bobo not running the ball with Tank Bigsby. I don't know if that counts because it's not a South Carolina play, but it was memorable.
Yeah, York weighs in. He says maybe play of the year. Auburn, I think he meant punt. He said kickoff, but the punt off of the Auburn players, what was that? The knee, I believe, the thigh there. So 803-404-6100 is how you can join us this morning. The South Carolina play of the regular season. Obviously, the year not over, so maybe one happens in the bowl game that tops it, but what would be your play of the regular season? Marshall agreeing with me, probably overlooked significance, but to me, the plays of the year was the Devontae Staley pick six at the end of the first half versus East Carolina. It convinced me, and I believe our team, that defense was going to have and keep us in some games this year. So we'll continue to take those. 803-404-6100. You can join us on the Buford Lending live stream. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game. Zero res. Let me do zero res here. You get zero res. Dave. Got to do zero. I'll do zero res going into the next break. I got to do that zero res and the QC kinetics. No. Don't combine the breaks. Don't combine the breaks. I got to do zero res. So I'm saying going into the next break. Going into the next break, I'll do zero res. All right. No, don't combine. No, don't combine breaks. No, I was saying I'll do because I was going to do zero res going into this break. Yeah, basically when we end a segment, usually we'll do a live.
Come on, the people are interested in this. People like the behind the scenes. I don't think Dave knows how we do live reads on the morning show, because Heath just reads them in the middle of his segments. We cannot. I mean, he can do that because he has it very regimented, where he will do a topic, read a live new topic, because it's just him. We don't really break up our segments to do lives. You got to figure it out. All right, this is a good topic. Who can tell what Bill's watching? I'm zooming in on it right now. Looks like just ESPN. We're back.
Yeah, I tell you what, I'll do that right now. If you're ready for it. If you're ready for it. All right, big guy. 803-404. Thursday, 11:30 a.m. South Carolina versus North Carolina, Dukes Mayo Bowl. We have got tickets for you to win. And Dave, I tell you what, right now we'll give away a pair of those tickets. You can come cheer on the Gamecocks as they take on the Tar Heels in the Battle of the Carolinas. We'll say caller number 4, Dave. Caller number 4.
You gotta read the rest of the number though, because you said 803-404.
Oh, I'm about to.
Stop reading the rest of it.
I'm getting to it. I was too engrossed in the liner. 803-404-6100. Call right now. Caller number 4 will win a pair of tickets to South Carolina versus North Carolina, the Battle of the Carolinas, Thursday at 11:30 a.m. I got to admit, if you don't know what time the game is by now, you probably don't need to go. But right now, Captain Dave Adair, will take caller number 4, and we'll give away a pair of tickets. If you don't win right now, don't worry. I'll give away another pair of tickets at about 8:20 this morning, so in about another hour. But caller number 4 there will win a pair of tickets. 803-404-6100 is how you can do that right now. A lot going on, obviously, but bowl games. One other thing that kind of happened yesterday, Patrick, we'll just touch on it briefly. I touched on it very lightly, not much to get into. South Carolina State, they were scheduled for 3:30 tomorrow at Colonial Life. Excuse me, they're scheduled for 3 o'clock tomorrow at Colonial Life Arena. That game has been postponed, and Patrick, certainly that one's postponed. You've had multiple others this week. College basketball is going to be very interesting with the current protocols and things that are in place for how they move through the remainder of the season and what exactly happens, because, man, we're seeing more and more cancellations of college basketball games at this point in time. And again, South Carolina tomorrow, scheduled to play South Carolina State at 3 o'clock. That game's not going to happen now, or it will be postponed. But it's making it, to me, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, it's making it difficult to try and keep up with and watch a little bit of college basketball.
It's definitely making it difficult to keep up with. I don't know what it means for the postseason at this point. I mean, realistically, how many games can get canceled and still made up? SC State and South Carolina should be fairly easy because they're less than an hour away from each other. But what about games between, teams that are hours apart or that require flights? Do we think these games are all getting made up?
I'm not sure. I mean, how they find a way to work these games back in. Again, a conference game this week in the SEC. Well, I say in the SEC like they're the only ones. The ACC, obviously, locally, Clemson and Duke having their game postponed this week. Auburn and Kentucky was supposed to kick off SEC play this week. That game gets postponed as well. So both of those games, Clemson, if you're Clemson, you definitely want to play that game against Duke. One, I think you'd like to get them at Little John Coliseum because of the fact that it's Coach K's going away tour. Patrick, I think individual tickets at Little John were going for something in the ballpark of $200. Duke here having the problem. Duke's game against Notre Dame on Saturday also set to be postponed. This is according to Jeff Borzillo, so I don't know if Duke has officially postponed its game on Saturday against Notre Dame. But you're right. The ACC modified its rescheduling policy last week with everything going on. Games that are not able to be played will be rescheduled, and if a new date cannot be found, the game will be considered a no contest. ACC teams must have a minimum of 7 players and 1 coach in order to play. So, I don't know where this is going to go as we move into the month of January and transition out of college football into college basketball. But right now, it is making it a little bit more difficult to watch.
Yeah, so this is going to be something that's going to come up in March, and it's going to affect resumes, right? If you can't play some of these big games, and yeah, it is difficult, and I don't know what we're expecting. Is this the only game South Carolina is expected to get postponed? And did we hear if this was from the South Carolina side of things or the South Carolina State side of things? Is that knowledge?
It hasn't been mentioned, to answer your question. I don't know. South Carolina State played, I think, multiple games. I had their schedule in front of me, but they played multiple games kind of over the weekend, I believe, or it was last week. South Carolina was expected to have more players back. We don't have an answer to that question that you're asking.
Because you said Auburn's game has been postponed with Kentucky. South Carolina's game.
Yeah, that was a women's. I should have clarified.
State.
I apologize. Somebody clarified. That was a women's game because I think South Carolina's women have got. I don't have the girls' schedule right in front of me here, but I think the women have got one of those teams on the schedule next week. I know the guys play Auburn. The men's team plays Auburn next Tuesday night, but I thought the women's team had one, which is why that was of significance because it could very well have an issue with their game potentially here down the line. But yeah, that was a women's game because they're wrapping up the non-conference portion of play. South Carolina's game against Kentucky is January 9th. So, you wonder how quickly they can get how quickly Kentucky can get back into the flow of things there, or if this is something that lingers for a week and a half. But college basketball right now, it was kind of rolling along. We will see where it goes because we get a text message on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line with Kelly, who mentioned Syracuse, Georgia Tech for tomorrow night. So again, a lot of games right now that are kind of starting to be affected by these new, or I shouldn't say by the new variant, but by the protocols that are still in place and really were geared more to what was going on last year.
Yeah. So what's your expectation that they're going to on the fly be able to update the protocols for changing information, or that just going to have to wait this thing out, wait till the spikes or whatever slow down, and then we can try and get things back on track? Because it doesn't take but 2 weeks or so to really kind of screw up the whole season if you have to be canceling games. I mean, the NFL did not build in any opportunities for them to push games back because they need that open week for the Super Bowl. If they had to cancel games, then they would have to have NFC Championship, AFC Championship games the week before the Super Bowl, which they will never do. So they had to play without star players all over the place. And college basketball, I mean, you've got wiggle room because there's so many dates, but you can't go postponing 3-4 games in a row over a 2.5 week span and expect to be able to make all those games up at the end of the season. It's just not going to work logistically.
No, you can't. And look, I do know people pointing out there was new CDC guidelines recommended yesterday with isolations and quarantining and so forth and so on. And I'm not trying to go down that path. What I am saying is there are things about this. When I say things about this, for example, tomorrow's South Carolina State game. How many players are involved? Who is at fault here? Who is the team who is not able to field the amount of players? What kind of discussions are going on behind the scenes? You're seeing the conferences at least come out and now say, hey, we got a 7-1 rule. If you have 7 players available and 1 coach. That feels like church league basketball again, right? Where you had 7 players show up and 1 guy over there coaching on the sideline. But that's kind of the way they're doing it. I think you are seeing college basketball try to adjust a little bit. But, man, it's going to be difficult as we go into the month of January and seeing games canceled. Let me ask somebody, obviously, the Barstool Sports game, and this kind of ties back into the basketball, but the Barstool Sports Bowl was canceled. It was supposed to be Boise State and Central Michigan. They did move Central Michigan into the Sun Bowl to play Washington State. But if you got to bet, if you're a betting person, you say that 1 more bowl game will be canceled here before we're able to get all these things finished, right? Like we lose at least 1, maybe 2.
Sure. Oh yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it's 3 or 4. I mean, how many are still left? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 18 more games. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it's 3 or 4. That's not counting
803
the New Year 6 games.
Yeah, 803, 404, 6. 18, not counting the New Year 6.
Yeah.
Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah.
Okay. 803-404-6100 is how you can join us this morning. You also hop on the Buford Lending live stream and join in the fun there. A lot of people weighing in. We'll get back into that play of the year. Several of you weighed in. What was South Carolina's play of the regular season? Some of you are having a good sense of humor about it. You are pointing to plays that would not be positive. totally understand, but we'll try and stick to the positive plays if you don't mind. But the positive play of the year, I don't think we want to classify the Jordan Birch pass against Tennessee as the play of the year. But if you want to weigh in, 803-404-6100, you're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game. All right, I'm gonna do zero res here. So after this little liner ends, zero res. Whoo boy, 2021 flew by. I know I'm pretty ready for 2022. And I tell you what, the way I get my house ready is by a nice, new, clean house. And to do that, I turn to my friends at Zero Res with their patented ZR water technology. I know that my rugs, my upholstery, my tile will be insanely clean, especially after all the family members stopped by for the Christmas party. It is time to get this house back in working order, looking beautiful. And the first thing I do is make a phone call to Zero Res, 803-262-4020. Right now, you mention my name, Bill Gunter at 107.5 The Game. You got to actually say it, Bill Gunter at 107.5 The Game. Saying the short guy, saying the non-funny guy, none of that works. You got to say my name, Bill Gunter at 107.5 The Game. Right now, if you say that, you get 3 rooms of carpet clean for only $109. You just got to say Bill Gunter at 107.5 The Game told me to call. You can schedule online as well, ZeroResColumbia.com, or again, give them a phone call, 803-262-4020. I'm telling you what, Zero Res, that patented ZR water technology, scientifically proven to get your carpet, your rugs, the tile, upholstery insanely clean. I cannot recommend Zero Res enough. So get your 2022 off to the right start with a nice clean home, courtesy of Zero Res. Mention my name, Bill Gunter at 107.5 The Game. Get 3 rooms of carpet clean for only $109 with Zero Res. Again, that's 803-262-4020. Zero Res. Spell it backwards or forwards. It's the right way to clean. Dave, I think I'm on a bit of a delay, so I'm going to reset mine, okay? Yep, it sounded like yeah. I'm going to reset. Well, now it
Says what?
Patrick, was I on a little bit of a delay, or is that you?
I mean, we were on a delay. I don't know who it was, but there definitely was a delay.
Should I reset mine, or?
Yeah, let me go for it. We got time, I assume.
Well, you say we got time, but who knows?
Yeah, I can't be sure.
Rain for the bowl game, Hope? It's no good. Well, actually, we'll bring that up. Maybe rain's a good thing.
Is that what it's looking like now?
That's what Hope says. But we always know negative Hope. It's probably supposed to be 80 and sunny and beautiful. No humidity. But then you get Hope coming in here with a rain.
Well, she's always negative.
Yeah.
By the way, I don't even think I was on the show since then, but I saw negative Hope at her worst in that Stanford comeback.
Oh, was she at her worst?
Oh, I mean, she tweeted like 5 times. Dang, I guess we're gonna lose this one. Oh, never gonna win the national championship playing like this. Isn't that right, Hope?
Hope. The grandbaby is very cute, though. I liked all the pictures. You done well. You done well. Right. She looks beautiful. That looked like a great first Christmas. Looked like a blast. That reaction. What was that little? Was that a little teddy bear or what was that stuffed animal? Uh-oh. Patrick, you may have to bring us back in. I just hit a button there and messed up.
What'd you do?
I went to hit 7, and somehow I hit something and went to something completely wrong. Might want to just stay alert. Winnie the Pooh. That's a... Hope, are you going to the bowl game? Who's going to the bowl game on the live stream? What live streamers do we have that can go to the bowl game? Oh, not able to go. Patrick, you paying attention to if we're back or not?
Yeah, we're coming back.
All right. Bring us in. I'll be there. I'm coming. Let Dave know you're bringing us in as I get loaded back up.
Yeah. I don't know. 803-404-6100 is the number to the show. You can hit us up on the Love Chevrolet phone lines, give us a call, or text us on the Pool Care Heating and Air text line. We mentioned it a segment or two ago. The question was posed, what is the most memorable play of the South Carolina regular season? Or I guess just what is the play of the year for South Carolina? I know that I think in whatever it was that SportsCenter did, the top 10 college football plays of the year, I think, Jalen Brooks' one-hand catch came in at number 2. But obviously some people have gone the negative route and mentioned the Jordan Burch pass against Tennessee. That will probably go down as the most infamous play. The other most infamous play, which I'd actually forgotten about until people started mentioning it, was the Jamar Brown dropping the ball before the goal line. That one had just escaped my memory, I guess, because I'd choose to dwell on the positive and not think about the negative. Normally, I'm just a positive person that way.
You are.
But
you are. That's
that's
exactly how we label you most mornings. Is Mr. Positive.
Yeah, and honestly, everyone else on the text line should be a little bit more like that because most of the responses we're getting right now are negative. Steve texted and said the fumbles against Troy and the drop before the end zone sums up the season. I mean, to be honest, there are lots of negative plays. I mean, the first play of the East Carolina game stands out. The wide receiver pass, the trick play on the opening possession stands out. I mean, there was, I guess when you're going to the first half of the season, you're going to largely think about the negative. But the second half of the season, I was thinking more about the Josh Vann play. The Josh Vann play where he's running wide open in the back of the end zone against Florida was the one that stands out to me, maybe just because they built so much up on it about that play on social media, doing the little skit. The Jason Brown rolling to his left and finding Josh Vann in the corner of the end zone against Auburn. The Trey Jones touchdown against Auburn. There is plenty of good that stands out, but I kind of am struggling to think of one thing, Bill, that really stands out above the rest. There's not necessarily, I don't think, a marquee play of the year.
Yeah, it's a weird year. I mean, and again, I think that's why in a lot of ways South Carolina is playing with house money on Thursday morning is because South Carolina, it feels like the Gamecocks overcame a lot to get where they are at, to become bowl eligible. And, look, you can say, well, Auburn obviously had issues at the end of the season and did what they did. You can say Florida obviously became a dumpster fire after that Alabama game in which they were competitive. But it's not like South Carolina was out there with some kind of mega loaded, talented team and was just better than Florida and Auburn. They found ways to win, and it might not have been pleasing to watch, but they found ways to win. And you know what? Same thing, Vanderbilt, and I think that's where a lot of people are going with maybe the play of the year is. I think Vanderbilt. Say what you want, the program found a way to go down the field and score when it mattered most. It's been a while since we've South Carolina be able to close out or win games when it's close. You'd see a game here, a game there, but the program, I think, from a mindset standpoint, especially a year ago today, was in a really bad place. I'm trying to think. I think a year ago, I believe they had already canceled the trip to the Gasparilla Bowl to play UAB. As a matter of fact, that game might have been scheduled. I don't have last year's bowl schedule right in front of me, but I believe that was roughly a year ago today that South Carolina was scheduled to be playing the University of Alabama Birmingham in the Gasparilla Bowl. But mentally, this program was in a bad place. I don't think anybody would argue with that. What you did see this year, Patrick, and that's kind of to your point, you saw a belief, a change in how this team kind of believed that they could do things. I know it's East Carolina, but it was on the road, but they found a way to go and win the ball game, kick the field goal at the very end, and to win that ball game. Actually, that Gasparilla Bowl was scheduled for Saturday, December 26th last year, so we'd have been 2 days removed from that now as I look back at last year's schedule. But the bottom line is this team found ways to win, and they did it in ways that, again, maybe not the most pleasing to the eye, maybe not the most memorable, but I do think that's why you get a great opportunity this coming Thursday to maybe put a stamp on the season. I'm with you. I don't think, unless it's just dramatic, like really, really bad, dramatic, a loss is not going to hurt this program. It doesn't set this program back on Thursday afternoon. But I do think a win, Patrick, would do wonders for fan excitement, for momentum. Look, I've said it before. I'll say it again. I think the spring game is going to be one of the most highly attended spring games I've seen in my lifetime because of some dude named Spencer Rattler and Gamecock fans wanting to come out and see what he looks like, regardless of who the offensive coordinator is. So that's honestly, when you talk about plays of the year, I'd probably say it is the Zeb Nolan touchdown pass, not necessarily a play, but an entire drive. And I think that's where you go with. It's something that's a positive for South Carolina and showed a mentally strong team that was up in that game, had been playing well, gave up the lead, and then has to rally in the final minute, I guess.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember my emotions in that moment because leading up to that play, I was just like dejected, thinking, first of all, how is this even close? How are we about to lose to Vanderbilt? And I mean, Luke Doty, I think, threw 2 picks in that game, and him having to get pulled for Zeb late. I guess it was the injury, but still him not being able to finish the game. It didn't feel great. And I don't even remember if I was going crazy or in hindsight, just relieved that they didn't lose to Vanderbilt rather than excited that they beat Vanderbilt, because that's almost just how it feels. And that's almost how it felt for the East Carolina game and the Troy game, where you're playing teams that you're supposed to be much better than and you're just sneaking past them. It was more a sense of relief than excitement over the win. And we kind of had to do Monday morning therapy after wins multiple times this year just to try and talk ourselves into, hey, wins are wins. We're not going to, what was Beamer's quote? We're always going to celebrate wins around here.
Mm-hmm.
Was that or was it we're
not going
to sulk over wins? So yeah, I mean that's what it was early in the season, and I guess the Zeb drive in a sense saved the season because you're not in the spot you are today. You're not playing in the Dukes Mayo Bowl in 48 hours if that drive doesn't happen. But I'm just going to remember, maybe because I was at those games 2 weeks in a row or 3 weeks in a row with Florida, Missouri, Auburn, but just the Florida game was so fun. It's the most fun I've had at South Carolina game in a couple years, really since college, and blowing out a Florida team like that just felt really good, and that's going to probably be what I hang on to going forward.
I do think what you just said there, fun. It's been a while since people have had fun at South Carolina football games, and at least 2 of the last 3. Obviously, the Clemson game was no fun whatsoever, but people did have fun at the Florida game, and you saw a little bit of that magic that Williams-Brice can be when
And it
things
was
are
stress-free.
rocking and rolling. Yeah. It was
Like, the
also
Auburn
a
game
good
was
fun.
stressful.
Well, and that's what made both of them. That's what made both of them actually kind of entertaining, is because the Florida game was like a pressure release, right? Like you get the lead. It's kind of back and forth early. They're hitting long passes. South Carolina's marching back down the field, and then next thing you know, they're right before halftime. There's the fumble recovery and everything that happens, and it was absolutely pressure free in the second half, and it was just a big party. And then in the Auburn game, you fall down 14-0. It looks like things are not going to go your way. Everything kind of changes, and South Carolina pulls out a tight one, and they're able to do that. We'll continue talking about this, what the season meant, what it was, because I think there are a lot of positives. A lot of you weighing in on that Vanderbilt drive and pass by Zeb Nolan. We'll continue to do that. You're listening to Bill Gunter. He's Patrick Perret. It is the early game on a Tuesday morning, 7:48 here on 107.5 The Game. I think that was bad. That fixed it. Sounds like we were back on track there. I got to walk out and get a script out of my car real quick. I'll be right back.
Yeah, I guess on live stream you guys might not be able to notice the delay as much, but it is a little bit weird. Kind of talking over each other. Yeah, I'll reset mine. I will reset mine. So we're gonna have to do this again tomorrow. I get to do 2 shows in a row from home because Bill will be in Charlotte. All right, so Paul, Anthony are going. He's going. Who's
going?
Is everybody going down on Thursday? You guys just driving up and driving back, or is anybody staying in Charlotte?
I would assume everybody's coming. I'm assuming I'll be the only one there tonight.
When are you leaving?
Late this afternoon. I'm in no rush to get up there. I'll leave late this afternoon, get up there. I mean, if I leave at 5 o'clock, I'll be up there. Let's see. What is the if I time it out? Because I wouldn't mind going up there and getting. I hadn't been to Charlotte in forever. I wouldn't mind going to get a decent dinner.
From where?
I don't know. That's the other part. Where should I go to dinner tonight? Like, I got to figure out like a. I don't want to go over the top like expensive, but I don't mind also like. All
I had to reset. I reset too, just to make sure everything's
Okay.
what I'm in.
Wrapping up hour number 2. Coming up in about 30 minutes, we will give away another pair of tickets to South Carolina, North Carolina on Thursday, 11:30 a.m. at Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte. So continue to listen to that. Dave, did we successfully have a winner in the previous about 30 minutes ago? Did we get a winner there for the tickets, David? Excellent drop in, David. Excellent work. Do we have a name for that winner? Yeah, tell everybody who was the previous winner. How about that? Congratulations to David Smith winning a pair of tickets to the South Carolina, North Carolina game. We'll give away another pair of tickets coming up in about 25 minutes here on the early game. Also want to remind you tomorrow morning, if you're up in Charlotte, if you live up there, or if you're heading up early, I will be live at the Bojangles located at 1402 West Trade Street in Charlotte, North Carolina. We'll be there for most of the day, 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. You can come by, get some sausage biscuits, occasional flay biscuit. You can say hello to me. You can see if you're taller than me. It's really not that hard, but we'll play a little game like that. Even put you on the radio if you're available.
Yeah.
So more than welcome.
Unfortunately, I'll be live from my bedroom. Don't get your hopes up.
Yeah. Patrick will not be there. The mustache has been shaven off. He looks like one of the Who's there in the Jim Carrey version, the Grinch now. No mustache. I like the mustache better, buddy.
I'll grow it back out. It starts now.
Okay, it starts now. There you go. We've already pressured Patrick into getting the mustache back. But yeah, tomorrow morning, 1402 West Trade Street in Charlotte. I'll be at the Bojangles live. Patrick will be on the live stream, and we'll be having a good time. We still do have another hour this morning, though, Patrick. We'll get more into the bowl games, talk about the plays of the year, and who knows, anything else that pops up in the next hour. You never know what's going to happen on the early game, right?
No. Didn't get a chance to didn't get time to answer that one. Punched it right up.
Yeah, old Dave.
Where's your hotel?
It's actually by it's before you get to Billy Graham Parkway to go to the airport. So yeah, the Grand Bohemian would be really neat, but I'm just happy the company paid for it, not me. So I'm not arguing.
Yeah, we work for a local radio station, not ESPN.
Yeah, I am very happy that they're paying for it, and I'm just happy they're not making me drive back and forth. That was very nice of them. I'm not going to complain at all.
I'm going to complain because I don't get to go.
Let me get a little bit more coffee here as we start Bowl Mania.
What is this take? There's a lot of great things in North Carolina. I like North Carolina. I love Charlotte. I would really love to be there. I think probably about 90% of my friends all live in Charlotte, so I would have loved to be there, but no, I don't even know how I'm going to be able to watch the game. It's going to be... Oh, I could go. I have to work I have to work my other job, the one that pays the bills. Got to keep them happy. But I'm really not excited about 11:30 in the morning, considering I'll get off work at about 6 o'clock in the morning.
Band's heading up in an hour and a half.
I will be working this job from home, Josh. That is definitely doing the show from here tomorrow. I'm not going to the studio. Bill's not going to be there.
Patrick doesn't want to go. Patrick's going to Nashville when Thursday night.
I do want to go. I was just saying, all my friends live in Charlotte. The majority of my friends will be at that game, but I can't go because I have to work on Thursday night and Wednesday night. So.
I feel like every time I'm checking Twitter, I'm checking to see if another bowl game has been canceled. Trying to make sure. Sam Howe has posted, I guess this was last night, his graduation pictures.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's definitely gone. Rutgers still has not finalized an airplane to go to the Gator Bowl. Uh-oh. All right, good news. I don't see anything in regards to bowl games being canceled. Final hour of the Tuesday program. Bill Gunter, Patrick Perret, getting you ready for a full day of bowl games here. Is Patrick? Really, it's obviously the first Saturday. What was it? December 18th had a full slate of bowl games on that particular day. But this is the first day with multiple Power 5 matchups. And again, it's kind of one of those things where if it was say week 0. If it was August 28th of this past year, where we were just getting a morsel, an appetizer of college football, I think we'd be all really, really fired up. This would be a completely different show. We'd all just be tailgating right now, and some people would have over tailgated already at 8 a.m. because it would be the start of college football. But you get bowl games, and they draw different emotions from players with opt-outs. They draw different emotions from the media. They draw different emotions from the fans. And I think somebody hit us up earlier, and Neil, I believe it was, on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line, and said, if players and coaches are not excited to be in the bowl game, it says a lot about the culture of the program. Patrick, I assume, look, you got kids that opt out, but I assume the majority, 90%, you would say, of scholarship players are excited to go to a bowl game, to get the bowl swag, get the per diem, to play one more game. I mean, it's fans and maybe the media that we all view it differently, correct?
Yeah, and that's the thing. We don't think about the 99% of the roster that's excited to play another football game and hang out with their guys and get a swag bag and all that fun stuff and go to Charlotte Motor Speedway and do the NASCAR deal. It's the high-profile guys who are going to the NFL and are opting out. That's who we always focus on because they're the guys that make the headlines. So, yeah, unfortunately, that's just kind of the way the world works, is the way college football works. The guys that make up the heart and soul of college football just get completely overlooked by the 0.01%.
Yeah, and you mentioned, if you didn't see yesterday, South Carolina out at Charlotte Motor Speedway. They were racing around the track there. Saw some videos of Derek Moore out there and Shane Beamer, a few other players. No media availability today for South Carolina, so you won't get much in the way of what's going on from the Gamecocks. You will get Shane Beamer and several players tomorrow morning available to the media via a Zoom call. So that'll occur tomorrow morning. But quiet day today, but that's all right because, again, as we mentioned, 5 bowl games. And, yeah, look, I've been to Birmingham. That was an interesting trip. It was very cold. The Papa John's Bowl was quite the – I feel like if we win, it's gotten to be – Patrick, have you ever had one of those events in life where it was so bad now people that didn't go, just they make up stories, they lie and say, oh, yeah, I was there for that. It was awful. Like, they weren't there. Have you ever had something so bad that people don't even that they now brag that, yeah, they were actually there?
I'm trying to think of something that'd be similar. Like, I've had terrible experiences at games just being ridiculously cold and miserable, but nothing really as notorious as that game as South Carolina fans.
Yeah, I was there, drove down New Year's morning. I got up New Year's morning and left and got down there around noon. I think I'm trying to think. I think don't hold me to this. I think when I got there, I was staying, the hotel we were at had the Ruth Chris in it, whichever hotel that was, had the Ruth Chris in the middle of it. And there was another little bar off to the side. And I think Northwestern was playing Auburn in the Outback Bowl, I think is what I walked in, and everybody was enjoying it. But, yeah, it was cold. The stadium, that still amazes me. I was watching over the weekend the Saturdays in the South, the SEC documentary on SEC football, and it was talking about Legion Field in Birmingham. And I still cannot believe to this day that the Iron Bowl was played there for so long in that particular stadium. I can't believe that the first SEC championship game was played there. Maybe because it had been basically 20 years earlier, that place was so much better. But, man, I think when a lot of us went to Birmingham in January of 2010, I believe it was the 2009 season, but in January of 2010, that place was absolutely awful. And we found a way to, I think most of us all survived, but it was a absolutely awful afternoon there. Connecticut posted a 20-7 win. But Patrick, I think that day has become so legendary for South Carolina fans that even people that were not there brag about surviving the cold and the lack of Papa John's pizza and the tailgating conditions and just everything that involved the Birmingham Bowl.
Do you have quiz questions for them? Like, yeah, you had to be there questions? Because I feel like everyone at this point, people have heard every story.
I don't know what. I guess it would.
Have you caught someone in a lie before about this?
I have never. I mean, at this point, you don't care to. I don't think you ever care to. You just assume. South Carolina had a great contingent of fans that day. I mean, the South Carolina fans really. Birmingham became, what is it? I guess you'd say Columbia Southwest, I guess is the direction. I mean, it's the line of cars of people heading down. The stadium was packed. Not that Connecticut was bringing this massive fan base to begin with, but it was packed full of South Carolina fans. And I guess there are one or two questions that I could specifically ask to prove if you were at that game. But at this point, if you want to say you were there, you were just there, man, because it was probably the coldest football game I've ever attended. And I was in the sun. If you were on the other side of the field where the sun dropped and you were in the shade, I cannot imagine what was happening to your toes and your fingers during that game. There's not enough of those magic hand warmers available to bring life back into your hands or your toes that morning. It was quite the experience. But I think that's part of it, right? There's probably Carolina fans. I was 6. I think I was 6, 1988. Older Gamecock fans, correct me on this. But I remember watching from the house. South Carolina went and played in the Liberty Bowl, I believe, and got beat by Indiana, Patrick, in 1988. And people that went to that game say that might have been the coldest football game they've ever attended. Like,
I've heard of that one too. Yeah.
I think people that was out in Memphis and it was kind of a night game, if I remember correctly. And I remember being on the couch with my mom and dad and watching that game, and absolutely ridiculous. But there are certain times. Bowl trips are fun. Bowl trips, look, say what you want. Birmingham, Tampa. I'm still pulling for the day, Patrick. I will be one of the first in line to get tickets if South Carolina, if we can ever get back to the Gator Bowl, to go down to Jacksonville. I think that's where we all, aside from a college football playoff, right? I would assume that everybody is dying to get back to the Gator Bowl. If we had our one choice of non-Power 6 and playoff games, would it be the Gator Bowl? Do you think that's fair, Patrick?
Just because the prestige combined with not ever really going to Jacksonville, you mean?
Yeah. Well, I think it's both, yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, because this year, like, I would have loved to go to Music City, go to the Nashville game, but, you know, you go to Nashville every other year anyway, so you're really never going to Jacksonville for anything, and I've never been to Jacksonville at all. So, yeah, I think Gator Bowl is pretty high up there for me.
Yeah, I think Jacksonville, you expect it to be a little bit warmer. It's not a bad drive. Anonymous texter weighs in and says Sugar Bowl, but yeah, that's part of the Big Six. The Big Six. Yeah. What is it? New Year's Six games? Is that fair, Patrick? Is that what we're calling it?
But, yeah.
But yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying. Like I'm talking about like the Capital One, which South Carolina has been to, the Outback, which we've been to plenty. The Outback's a fun trip though. The Gator Bowl, though, I think because South Carolina hasn't been, and the Gator would like to get South Carolina back. If South Carolina could just get to like a 7-5 record, I think that would be a trip that South Carolina fans would absolutely love to take, if at all possible. And we'll see if it works out. But I think at this point, any bowl game is a great opportunity to take the family to get away for a little post-Christmas vacation. Enjoy your football team, enjoy some of the bowl festivities. And I will say, just the fans coming together at most bowl games is always a fun experience. Off the top of your head, do you know how many bowl games you've been to in your lifetime? Can you think back?
0. I've never.
Oh, you never been to a bowl game?
No.
Oh, all right. Well, we got to make sure.
I maybe have been to a Maryland bowl game. I think I might have been to a Maryland bowl game in Annapolis or something, but I cannot recall ever going to a bowl game. Definitely not for South Carolina.
Yeah, so it's a fun trip. I've been to several, and I will say the events of the week are a lot of fun. I'm trying to think. I've won the Outback Bowls. Let me see. I think I'm 3-0 in Outback Bowls there with 2 wins over Michigan and a win over Ohio State. That's a pretty solid record. I have a loss in the Peach Bowl and the Chick-fil-A Bowl to Florida State. That one wasn't a lot of fun. And I have the Connecticut Bowl game, the Papa John's Bowl game, which I say the Connecticut Bowl game. It may as well has been played in Connecticut, as cold as it was. And I see some of you weighing in with that on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line. 803-404-6100. Coming up in about 9 minutes, I'm going to give you a chance to win 2 tickets. You're going to have to beat out Patrick Perret. He's going to hop on his cell phone and call our phone number. Coming up in about 9 minutes, we will give away a pair of tickets to the bowl game itself. 803-404-6100. Let's get out to the Love Chevy phone lines. Marcette is up this morning. How you doing, Marcette? They are going to appreciate the phone call. I think, Patrick, if I understood it correctly, they will test again today, 48 hours from the game itself. They will test. I guess they'll get the results back. It doesn't appear that either team is in danger. I think if you're South Carolina, what you worry about is something is going on with Justin Stepp and Torian Gray. It was reported yesterday by the Big Spur and by Gamecock Central that neither were at practice. Patrick, I mentioned that before you hopped on this morning. It doesn't appear to be anything in terms of job stability or looking at other jobs or, anything like that. It appears to be some kind of protocol situation. And so with that in mind, I think maybe that concerns you a little bit just because of what's going on. But
Well, I mean, this is the big day because this is the testing day. If you make it through today unscathed, you've got a pretty good chance. But you're just concerned because it seems like everyone is coming down with it right now, and even if the guys aren't showing symptoms, it sounds like this variant is extremely mild, and a lot of people are asymptomatic, so they might not even know anything's wrong and potentially test positive. But you cross your fingers that you can get through today. And if you come back and everybody comes back negative, then you're probably clear because this is, I think, the last day of testing, right?
Right. Yeah, they'll do a round. If I understood correctly what Shane Beamer said on Sunday, they'll do a round of testing today, and obviously get those results back. And again, Shane Beamer, as well as several players, expected to meet with the media tomorrow morning after practice, probably close to about 11 o'clock. So you'll be able to follow the message boards there, the Gamecock Central and the BigSpur.com all do a great job, and you'll be able to follow them for any updates. But I would let's just say I feel good about it. I was going to put a percentage on it, but then I realized that's probably the jinx or the kiss of death.
Yeah,
so
that's definitely
let's not do that. Let's just say that we think. And look, I want to see South Carolina play on Thursday. I want to see the game. There are things. I'm not going to sit here and lie to anybody, Patrick. We'll make predictions. Matter of fact, maybe before the end of the show, we need to maybe make some predictions on the 5 games today and pull up the spreads. And but there are things with this football team I want to see on Thursday. I want to see some game planning. Even if South Carolina comes out and struggles offensively, I would like to see what they have done with their practice time to maybe improve the offense. I'd like to see, I'm looking forward to Marshawn Lloyd in a more featured role, I guess you could say, with Zaquandre White out. I'm guessing it's going to be Kevin Harris who gets the majority of the carries. But Patrick, I feel like you'll see more Marshawn Lloyd in this game. How does Juju McDowell factor in a little bit more in this game? How does a guy like Jordan Burch, who now without JJ Enigbare, how does Jordan Burch look when he gets more snaps? So there are things with this game. I want to see South Carolina play. I'm not, I've talked to some people who say, we've got Zaquandre White's out, and Jason Brown's not playing, and Enigbare, and North Carolina's really good, which they're not bad. They're 6-6. They're the same as South Carolina. I don't want to see the game canceled. I'm looking forward to watching the game on Thursday and seeing what they look like. I'll get Patrick when we come back. I want to get your take. What are you looking for on Thursday? And I apologize if I say Saturday because, as you're aware, for the last 12 games, they've been on Saturdays. I want to know what Patrick's looking for. I want to know what you're looking for on Thursday morning, 11:30 against North Carolina. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game. All right, I'll do QC Kinetics here, okay? QC Kinetics. Getting out and going to a bowl game, that can be a lot of fun. You get to hang out, tailgate with others. You get to watch your favorite team play. So many fun things about getting out and doing it. But if you've been suffering from muscle pain, ligament issues, tissue damage, then it's not quite as much fun. You're kind of stuck at home. You don't get to live the life that you want to live. And that's not what you need to do. Don't let people tell you surgery is the only option for you, that steroids and opioids are what you need to be on. That's not correct at all. Call the doctors at QC Kinetics, 803-281-6860. Regenerative medicine. They are at the forefront of it. Allow your body to heal itself. If you're tired of the constant chronic pain, weary of feeling bad, not being able to get out with the kids, with the grandkids, and to enjoy life, now is the time to call QC Kinetics this morning and get a free consultation. 803-281-6860. QC Kinetics has been providing effective pain relief solutions and outstanding customer care for a long time. They know what they're doing. They are professional doctors. Again, they focus on regenerative medicine. allowing your body to re-heal itself so you don't have to go through the issues that surgery can cause or addictive pain medications. Call QC Kinetics today. 803-281-6860. All consultations are free. That phone number again, 803-281-6860. All right. Who besides Gamecock Larry? Okay. Well, he's had some issues of late, so okay. You said Ronnie? Okay. All right. Sounds good. Let me get a pen. I'll be right back. All right, I apologize if we take phone calls. We don't have it set up in studio this morning for y'all to be able to hear the phone calls. You'll just have to watch our facial expressions to figure out what's happening. Not an item we keep around here now. Oh, okay. Apparently, I don't keep pens around here anymore.
No pens.
I can't find a pen or a pencil. Not yet. Hey, I am gonna. We'll get to those. I tell you what, I'll take a caller. Well, no. I'll clear the line. I'll try and clear the line. I need to give away these tickets. I'm giving away these tickets right now. Now is your time if you want to win a pair of tickets. To the Dukes Mayo Bowl. You probably, if you're listening to our program, you may now be aware of who's playing in the Dukes Mayo Bowl. If you're just now tuning in and you haven't listened for the last 3 weeks, hey, it's South Carolina and North Carolina. And if you'd like to go to the South Carolina North Carolina game Thursday, 11:30 a.m., call right now. Captain David Air waits patiently to take Dave. We'll take caller number 3. Caller number 3 right now, 803-404-6100. 803-404-6100. You can win a pair of tickets to the Dukes Mayo Bowl featuring the South Carolina Gamecocks against those North Carolina Tar Heels. Oh, yucky. But you can go watch a great game and go watch, hopefully, a Gamecock victory. 803-404-6100. Call right now and win yourself a pair of tickets. Captain David Air waits patiently. Brad from Belton says on Thursday, I want to see a more aggressive vertical passing threat, get some big passes completed downfield to keep North Carolina from crowding the line of scrimmage. Anonymous texter says, looking forward to see if Satterfield can change offensive formations and plays for the type of personnel that he will have on the field. Fullback play, double tight ends, jumbo, different packages. And then Matt asked, after all this time, Doty still isn't healthy. Did he have surgery or what? Yeah, Luke Doty had surgery. I don't think people realize what I was told, Patrick, what we kind of had heard back in August. That was a pretty significant foot injury. And, I don't know whether we believed it, Patrick, or what. But, there were rumors. You and I would discuss it a little bit that it could be season ending. And obviously he came back and tried to play through it, re-injured it. But from my understanding, he has had surgery, definitely has had surgery, is just now really, I guess, being able to get off of the scooter. I don't think they're really expecting him back for spring ball either, Patrick.
No. Shane Beamer said in his press conference, he said that it's good to have all the competition because it's good to have Braden, I think, because Tanner Bailey's not going to be there, but it's going to be good to have Braden Davis there and Colton Gauthier getting more comfortable because Luke most likely will not be ready for spring practice. But yeah, it was definitely more serious than we thought during the season. And maybe that makes people feel a little bit better because we were mentioning he didn't look like the athlete that we expected or were led to believe that he was, being a Bruce Feldman's Freaks List guy, Will Muschamp saying that he was the best athlete on the team, which is why he needed to play wide receiver. You didn't see any of that kind of ridiculous explosion from him. And maybe that's because it was hampering him more than we ever thought, and then I guess only got worse. I'm still not 100% sure what any of the injuries were. I don't know that I've heard any specific details, but do you know exactly what it was?
I honestly think it was a stress fracture to the foot, and I think it was maybe a little bit more severe. I don't know if I'm not going to sit here and pretend I'm a doctor. That's why we have all the Prisma Health orthopedic doctors on during the season to help break stuff down. But I don't pretend to know what the difference is between a stress fracture and a Liz Frank injury is, and how those are different, and what exactly is the timetable for recovery. But certainly that is something that he's got to get over. And I don't know if we've seen. That's why I say you don't give up on Luke Doty just yet. I don't think we've seen the true Luke Doty that was recruited out of Myrtle Beach High School.
No, he's going to be the only other upperclassman quarterback on the roster next year. So, I mean, it's how many years has it been since South Carolina started one quarterback and only played one quarterback for an entire season since Jake Bentley, and even I guess in his second to last year, Skarnecki got a start, or was it third to last year? But yeah, it's been a long.
Bentley's junior year, sophomore year, Bentley, I guess, did play the whole year. I think. Yeah.
Okay.
So, what do you? This is interesting, and I agree, or I agree with Scott on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line about South Carolina's lack of a passing attack, because Brad from Belton weighed in and said, "I want to see a more aggressive vertical passing threat." Patrick, I want to see creative play calling on Saturday. I want to see the offense look different, but quite frankly, I don't know if they've got the personnel to have a vertical passing attack. Josh Vann, maybe. We've seen that this year, but I don't know if there's anybody else that can really get down the field and hurt somebody. I thought we'd see a lot more from Amarion Brown just in terms of long vertical passes, but also if you're going to throw vertical passes, your offensive line's got to block a little bit. The vertical passing game, Patrick, it's worked more when you've had somebody who's with some mobility, Luke Doty or Jason Brown. I don't know how realistic it is to expect a massive vertical passing attack on Thursday morning. So I'm not really expecting that. What do you kind of hope to see from this offense in particular on Thursday morning?
Yeah, that's where I'm kind of torn, because I guess first off, you want to win the game. But if you win the game in just a slow-moving kind of slugfest where you run the ball, try to establish the run and control the clock, and maybe Nick Muse catches 8 balls and just keeps the chains moving, and you win an ugly 17-14 game, like, would that excite South Carolina fans more than losing a 31-28 game where Josh Van lights it up and you have I don't know who's the next most exciting receiver. You have a healthy Xavier Legette who has a big game, or Amarian Brown catches a 50-yard bomb. Like, would that be better? I guess you just ultimately want to win. So I'm with you in that I don't think that's the way that you're going to go about winning this game. North Carolina can score in the 40s. They've done it multiple times. They scored in the 50s multiple times. So that's not going to be the game. You can't just let them make you play their game. I think you're going to have to control some clock, especially with Zeb. If you're pushing the ball downfield, that means you're probably counting on some 50-50 balls, which I don't really want to see either. If you're able to scheme up deep targets and get guys open downfield, that would be outstanding. But we haven't seen it really at all this year. Your only vertical passing game has involved Josh Van going up and winning jump balls, and I don't know really why that would change this week.
I'm with you on that. I think for South Carolina, and this is kind of a little bit different than what people are saying about the passing game, because I think the passing game just is what it is. They're going to have to get you got your quarterback, and I guess you got your tight end and Stogner. You got Rattler, you got Stogner. By all indications, it appears that Josh Van is going to come back, but they need to continue to add to that wide receiving room for 2022. And this is a chance for Xavier Legette or Amarion Brown, or throw his name in there to Carryon Joyner. He's going to play to maybe establish themselves a little bit more as wide receiver number 2. It doesn't look like Jalen Brooks will be back with the team, some off the field issues, and just you haven't seen him, so you kind of start to rule him out. They're going to have to go to the transfer portal in the offseason to continue to upgrade that wide receiving group. Patrick, what I'm kind of interested in is, can they, even though North Carolina knows South Carolina's bread and butter is going to be the running game, will Marcus Satterfield be creative in how he uses the run game? Can you use some screen passes to offset and get a Lloyd or a Harris out of the backfield? Does Trey Jones play? I feel like we should have a Trey Jones counter on there every time. Like every time Trey Jones, just at the top of the screen, just the top left corner of the screen, just every time Trey Jones comes out, you put up the number that how many times he's been out there. Because for South Carolina to be successful, one of the things I personally think is, even though North Carolina will kind of expect it, I think you got to have Trey Jones out there for 18 to 25 plays, depending on how this thing is going, to line up and smash into a smaller player and try and open holes for Satterfield, for Harris or Lloyd. Or look, you may see Rashad Amos more in this particular game. Rashad Amos is now the number 3 guy, depending on how you view Juju McDowell.
Well, have we seen multiple running backs on the field yet? Like, have we seen Juju out wide and Kevin Harris in the backfield or something along those lines? Because that's the kind of creative stuff that I think we talked about all preseason. Was you say, you being Marcus Satterfield, say we're going to coach to our strengths, and clearly our strengths were the running backs, because you felt like you had 3, 4, maybe even 5, depending on how you felt about Rashad Amos, guys that were really dangerous. And we discussed the possibilities of having 2 running backs back there and just being really creative. And we haven't seen it. So I would love to see some Kevin Harris in the backfield with the change of pace guy and Juju McDowell and keeping him in motion. And if you can do that with Trey Jones out there too, I mean, just whatever you can do. Yes, I agree. Creativity, but make it be clear that that's what you're doing. If you're going to have Trey Jones out there, that's cool, and just run it down their throat, do the same thing you did against Florida and just run the same play over and over and over again until they prove they can stop it. I would enjoy that, but I would also be excited just by seeing multiple running backs out there at the same time and a little bit of creativity, or like not knowing who's going to get the ball on any given play. That would be fun too.
Yeah, T weighs in on the Buford Lending live stream, says they've run Harris at fullback with White at the running back position. We have seen that at times. Again, I think part of it is, and when we say creative, and Heath Klein and I have had this discussion on the pregame show, you don't need like the 7 wide receiver package, or you don't need to have all 5 running backs out there. But what you need when we say creative it's as simple as running one set play, but then having a backup play off of it. If you have McDowell in the slot and you take advantage of him, say, coming across and you hand it off, but then the next time you fake the handoff, but you throw, say he's coming to the right, you hand it off to the right, you hand it off to McDowell running right. Next time you fake the handoff and you throw back to the left to confuse the defense. Being creative to me is just simply having one play that you think will work. Being creative, Patrick, this is a perfect example of being creative. You've utilized Trey Jones so many times this year, and as a running, as a fullback, you fake the handoff and Jones slips out into the flat and you throw a touchdown pass. We saw that. That's utilizing plays that are your tendencies to counteract what the defense does. So they go, oh, okay, here comes the run to Harris behind Jones. Oh, wait, no, it's a fake. And now Jones is in the end zone falling down with the football, and it's a touchdown. And that's what we need to see more of from Satterfield is, okay, we know you like to run this particular running play. Well, now fake it and just throw a simple out pattern or, draw the linebackers up and dump it off over the middle. There's no doubt. I don't think anybody, despite even all the quarterback issues, I don't think there's anybody, Patrick, who would say, oh, yeah, the tight ends were maximized the way we thought they would be during the summer when the "we won't Delp" hashtag was flying around left and right.
No, I mean, Nick Muse's numbers will tell you that. I think if you combine Nick Muse and Jaheim Bell's numbers, it probably doesn't even add up to what Nick Muse had last season. I mean, Nick Muse has 20 catches this year. That's not good enough for a guy who had to make the decision to come back and not go to the NFL. So when you're recruiting an Oscar Delp saying, yeah, we use the tight end position all the time, we love tight ends around here, your number one guy can't have 20 catches coming off a 30 catch season in a COVID shortened season.
Yeah, especially when you promise Delp that he'll probably get 60 catches. 803-404-6100. Let's get out to the Love Chevy phone lines. Ray has waited patiently. Ray, how you doing this morning? What's on your mind? Appreciate the phone call, Ray. Yeah, I mean, old school football, Patrick. Is the offensive line strong enough to line up and just power through North Carolina? Let's just start with are they strong enough to line up and get in the way of North Carolina? I think that's where you start with this. You look back at games this year. Let's go late in the season here. Against, say, a Miami. North Carolina gave up 42 points to Miami. North Carolina would win that game 45-42. It was played in Chapel Hill. And in that particular game, Jalen Knighton had 92 yards rushing on 17 carries. The quarterback for Miami, Tyler Van Dyke, had 9 carries for 36 yards. As a team, Patrick, Miami in that game, 34 carries, 157 yards. North Carolina's run defense isn't a brick wall. They're not also Missouri soft as well.
Yeah, and it is just kind of funny the perception that you have is I think a lot of South Carolina fans are probably thinking, we're an SEC team playing an ACC team. What's the difference between the SEC and everybody else? What makes the SEC the best conference in college football? Well, we're just more physical at the line of scrimmage than everybody else, and that's what we like to think. So in your mind, you're thinking, all right, let's just line it up and run it right at these little finesse ACC team. But in reality, I mean, you can't even say that South Carolina has the edge in the trenches in this game. So it's a nice thought, and I hope it happens. I would love to see it happen. I agree on putting Trey Jones out there, run the I formation, do, creative things like that. We've talked about it yesterday. We'd love to see Dakereon Joyner take some snaps because you can add a whole new wrinkle to the offense that obviously Zeb Nolan can't do the things that Dakereon Joyner can do. So do something creative, but as far as just being able to line it up, run it right down their throat when they know it's coming and be successful doing that, I don't know how you could have confidence that South Carolina's offensive line is ready for a challenge like that.
Here's the other thing. When we say creative, again, I don't mean let's go out there and bust out the Emory and Henry formation and, do all this funky, wild stuff. But, Patrick, this is kind of similar, little less time to develop or a little less time to create a game plan, only because you just played a game a month ago. But it's similar to Eastern Illinois in that your best drive should hypothetically be your first drive. Anything that you've had a chance to maybe put in or work on and just catch North Carolina off guard is something you can run on your opening drive. If you've got something that you've really practiced. Now, again, I don't mean coming out and throwing the East Carolina play of the wide receiver pass down the field. I'm just talking about simple stuff, play actions, or maybe one little different running play that you've worked on. South Carolina on the opening drive of the season, Patrick, went 3 and out. Went 3 and out. That can't happen in this game. Your first drive, you've had multiple weeks to script it. You've had multiple weeks to maybe just come up with something a little creative. And again, all I'm saying by creative is the same play that South Carolina used to score the touchdown against Auburn with Trey Jones, where you flipped him out of the backfield and that worked wonders. Maybe you've got something a little bit different with a wide receiver screen or a tunnel screen, just something that you have not shown all season. That opening drive, I do think for South Carolina, whether they get the ball first or they get the ball second, I'm kind of the opinion, Patrick, that by the end of the first drive, we're going to know if Marcus Satterfield's been able to make significant changes, or if they go 3 and out, I got a bad feeling on the rest of the game.
Well, if what we've been saying is you need to control the clock and establish the run, would you be totally shocked if the first drive is just run, and saying, hey, here's what we're going to do. We're going to let you know what the plan is. We're going to run it down your throat, and that's the plan. And we're going to try and set the tone early. I mean, and you end up punting, or maybe you get a first down, or maybe you go 3 and out. But would you be totally shocked if they do nothing creative and just say, here's the plan, establish the run, try and stop us from the jump?
No, I wouldn't. If they came out, if they come out in the very first
3 runs up the middle.
Yeah, that's not being. You do something, get a little creative with a pulling guard, or trying to get to the perimeter or something that we haven't. Again, it doesn't not necessarily have to be something we haven't seen. It's just got to be a wrinkle off of something that maybe you have seen a lot. We've joking. All right. So what I was saying, a Dakereon Joyner in the Wildcat formation, where I believe that he runs left, because hadn't he run right just about every time this year? Is that right? Am I right on that? He was right.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I mean, Dakereon Joyner just throwing it to a wide receiver on the outside, just fake the handoff and throw the screen. Again, I'm not asking for triple reverse options that end up with the left guard throwing a pass down the field to a tight end. I think you're just trying to show something that counteracts a play you've run consistently throughout the year. And we'll see if South Carolina does that on Thursday morning. Again, they've had time to prepare with Satterfield and how that performs. The defense will give up points. The defense, Patrick, you agree with me. The defense is going to give up points.
Absolutely.
They're going to give up yards. South Carolina is not going to win. I don't see a scenario in which South Carolina wins a 17-14 or a 2017 game on Thursday afternoon.
No, definitely not. You're going to – yeah, it's not going to happen. You're going to give up points, and I think you'll be happy if you hold them under 30.
803-404-66 6100. I see a lot of you weighing in on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line. We will get out to those and wrap up the Tuesday episode of the early game on 107.5 The Game. What? Should only be about 8 minutes, about 7 minutes. Okay. Is what? Oh, really? Well, I'll tell you what, 46. We got what, 14 minutes left of the program, is that right?
Just combine them.
Well, you just want to split these in half then, and I'll do a quick segment. And
how long?
Nah, just go with this. Just go with a 9-minute break. We went real long there, didn't we? I mean, that was about a 20-minute segment.
How long would the break be if we combine?
Yeah, just go with that. Go with those break. We'll be all right. We'll go there. Uh-huh.
Dave?
Well.
I'd say just combine them no matter what.
All right. Well, let me know. We've got about 8 minutes left.
What do you say?
Who won? Mindy? Oh, okay. Well, good for her. Do you know? I have no clue how to get them the tickets.
What a mess. Is he not combining though?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just a really long. That's what we were telling. Just really long break.
That's what they are.
Yeah, we're good. We're good. We'll come back and have about 4 minutes. All right. I think we've accomplished about everything we set out to accomplish. I feel like here comes the scary part where I check Twitter again to see if there's been any cancellations.
Nah, I think I get a notification.
Would you? All right.
It is much easier to communicate in studio, but I did forget how nice it is just to be sitting here.
Yeah. Chuck, pancakes, eggs, and bacon. All right. Sounds good. Yeah, I think those are just spam bots that are hitting us up there. And yeah, Patrick, it is again, it was nice. Although still the lighting, we still haven't completely fixed the lighting. Although it's gray out there this morning. Oh.
All right, one more show this week.
That's right.
Actually, gonna do 3 shows in a row from home. It's gonna be nice. I guess not my home.
Yeah, I'll leave late this afternoon and get up to Charlotte. Like I said, I'm gonna try and time it out. Hope it's I don't know, kind of the same, both pregame and show, but it'll be a different format, that's for sure. It'll be a little bit different format.
And it'll start at 6:30, not 6 o'clock, right?
Yeah, I believe I'm 95% sure. Heath and I will be on location there.
Yeah, so I think plan on it being 6:30 to everybody in the live stream. And you're not gonna live stream it, are you?
No.
So it's gonna be radio.
I don't plan to. I mean, I'll have the computer. I can. I can imagine that'll annoy one person we know.
Well, Heath does need to make his introduction to the live stream at some point.
Eight 803-404-6100, wrapping up the Tuesday morning episode of the early game. If you would like to join us here in the final seconds, I want to remind you that most of the station will be live tomorrow at Bojangles in Charlotte. If you're up there already, come on by 1402 West Trade Street in Charlotte, North Carolina. We'll be there from 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. tomorrow. You can stop by Bojangles to meet us, pick up some Bojangles on your way to the big game Thursday. You can come out and cheer on the Gamecocks. So if you're heading to get maybe a good tailgating package on Thursday there, Patrick, get some sausage biscuits and Cajun filet biscuits to take to the tailgate.
Yeah, it's also the last show of the year for us.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, programming note.
Kind
We will
of,
not be.
kind of underrated. Yeah, no show Friday. Thursday will be not an early game. I won't be there because it will be pregame, which is supposed to start about 6:30. So yeah, we're not going to have. It'll be my last show of 2021.
Yeah, we will not have a program on Friday morning. So as Patrick said, so if you want to stop by, we will be there. I'll be there. Heath will join me. Heath will be there in the evening, but I will be there both mornings if you would like to come by again. That address, 1402 West Trade Street in Charlotte, starting tomorrow morning. So come on by, grab yourself a biscuit, Bowberry biscuit, and hang out and visit either tomorrow morning or on your way to the game on Thursday morning. I also want to remind you we're partnering with the Red Cross to help lessen the severe blood shortage that South Carolina is experiencing. We'll be holding a blood drive this coming Thursday, December 30th. The drive will be held at the American Red Cross located at 2751 Bull Street in Columbia, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. All donors will receive an exclusive Red Cross t-shirt. Sign up online at redcrossblood.org and enter the sponsor code Cumulus Cares. Lot in this program. We're talking a lot about bowls. Patrick, today, 5 bowl games. Houston and Auburn kick us off here in just a little while. The Birmingham Bowl, of which South Carolina fans, as I saw in the text line earlier, have such fond memories. I don't have the spreads right in front of me. Give me about 2 seconds, and I will get the updated spreads up for those. But any particular game that you like this afternoon? You mentioned Minnesota and West Virginia. That kind of where you're leaning tonight?
Yeah, that one's the most intriguing to me. I guess Chip Kelly and NC State, that'll be a fun game. The Holiday Bowl there at 5 p.m. That actually might be the most intriguing game. 8-4 versus 9-3. It's a really good matchup right there. So see a little DTR. See NC State's got a lot of talent. So I'm pretty into that. 5 p.m. is really when I'm going to get it going today.
Noon, Auburn and Houston. Birmingham Bowl. Auburn is -2. Who are you taking there, Patrick?
Houston. Auburn's defeated.
I think I'm kind of with you. It'll be a fun day. We will recap it all tomorrow morning. I'll be in Charlotte. Patrick will be here in Columbia. Captain Dave, big thanks again. He will be back in studio producing. You've been listening to the early game, 107.5, The Game.
Maybe. I mean, that's the game, right? So
David,
that's a little
I'll
different.
holler at you in the morning.
I don't know. Yeah, I forgot about that. I was thinking we were doing a show on Thursday.
I will see y'all from Bojangles in the morning.
Yeah.
Oh, what did Jim?
Yeah, it was a huge mistake. Yep.
What was that? Why were we talking? Jim, sometimes we get good comments, but sometimes it's crickets.
There's no game tomorrow.
Huh? What were you saying? All right, everybody. Love y'all. I'll have a safe trip. I'll be at that Bojangles. We will see y'all in the morning. Everybody have a great, great day.
Yeah, Thursday. Okay. Yeah. I don't know.